The end of the world. Materials consumed by women will be returned 10,000-fold. Hello again, dear adventurers of the multiverse. Thanks for joining us once more on this epic journey. Remember, this story is pure science fiction from our wild imagination, so don't go trying to summon dragons in your backyard. The rights of this amazing novel belong entirely to its original author. We are only the narrators. Do you want more adventures? Show some love to our YouTube channel with a subscription and a like, and if you want exclusive content, our Patreon is waiting for you with open arms. Chapter 126, Catching Jiang Fan. Boom. Bullets shot out of the red mist. A person with supernatural powers was hit in the back of the head. The superpower fell to the ground with a thud. Everyone didn't pay attention, thinking it was a stray bullet. Run. Run. Don't look back. Run. No. Need to save him. Xiao Deng is finished. Silver light flew into the weapon of will. Jiang Fan continued shooting. Boom. Another superpower fell. Boom. After 3 superpowers fell down in a row, they finally discovered that it was not a stray bullet. They were spotted and shot on the back in fear, but it makes no sense. Jiang Fan walked calmly, letting the bullets whiz by, shooting unhurriedly. A famous superpower fail. Silver light groups floated into the weapon of will. The weapon of will became more and more solidified. Someone is chasing us. Run. How could he see us? Superpower. It's a superpower. It's a rat. It must be a rat. He can shoot in the red mist. More and more people died. Everyone was extremely frightened and dispersed. Jiang Fan didn't care about the ordinary soldiers. He just followed the superpowers and let others escape. In the end, all the superpowers died except for one female superpower. Jiang Fan walked up to this beautiful female superpower and slowly changed a magazine. The system prompt pops up. Ginger Pinalia, age 21, quality 9 points, soft, women's virtue 10 points, not considered human affairs, comprehensive score 9 points, Ling. Meets system requirements. Jiang Fan sat on the ground in horror. Don't kill me. I'm just a doctor. Woo woo woo. Her face had an indescribable sense of brokenness. Tears were streaming down her face, and her eye circles were slightly red, which was extremely tempting to men's desire for destruction. In addition, after 2 days of arduous trek in the dense forest, she was exhausted mentally and physically, which added a bit of charm to her beauty. Jiang Fan laughed as she Jiang Fan. Li Qingyu wrote specifically about this woman. There is only one ability, which is very special, plant growth. She can use her physical strength to spawn plants, but the specific effect is unclear. Anyway, the top management attaches great importance to it, and they didn't expect to send her out this time. Jiang Fan looked at an ability light group in Jiang Fan's body. If you want to survive, show your abilities. The abilities Li Qingyu mentioned were just what Li Qingyu said. Jiang Fan didn't see her abilities with his own eyes. He would not let down his guard until he was sure there was no danger. Jiang Fan was confused, but she didn't dare to resist. She quickly wiped away her tears, took out a small plastic bottle from her waist, and poured out a black seed on the ground. Then, she closed her eyes. The black seeds have changed visibly. Take root, grow, sprout a short branch, and bloom in half a minute. This flower. Jiang Fan was surprised. Isn't it the rose grass that I have been collecting? Jiang Fan also discovered that this herb can cure diseases. Jiang Fan's forehead was dripping with sweat, and her face turned pale from exhaustion. She carefully broke off the stems of the rose grass and said pitifully, "This grass stem can cure many diseases, really. Don't kill me. I'm just a doctor." Woohoo. Jiang Fan had previously felt that she was a brave woman in fighting for supplies for ordinary survivors, but she was suppressed by Duan Zhen and had no choice but to do anything. When Jiang Fan really encountered a murderous demon like Jiang Fan, she realized how cowardly she was and had no courage to resist at all. Jiang Fan was very satisfied. Rosagras is very rare because of this ability. Jiang Fan also wants to stay, not to mention she is very beautiful. Jiang Fan still had many questions to ask her, but he didn't have time for the time being. Catch him first and then talk about it. A bundle of rope suddenly appeared in Jiang Fan's hand. Jiang Fan was startled. Where did the rope come from? Jiang Fan ignored her, grabbed her hands and tied her feet together. Then he tore open the portal and walked in carrying Jiang Fan. There was still fighting around, but Jiang Fan no longer had the slightest interest. Loves to hit, none of my business. After Jiang Fan left, fierce gunfire attracted the surrounding Aboriginal survivors, and the situation became increasingly chaotic. Got a gun? Is it the army? Officials have finally entered the city for rescue. Maid, I killed someone, so you won't shoot me. They seem to be fighting among themselves. Never mind it, Grab the gun first. With a gun, we can grab more food. Building. C. Fortune Center. Jiang Fan stayed away all night again. Women are all worried. The situation this time is different from last time. All women know that the TV station base wants to cause trouble for Jiang Fan. Is Brother Jiang trapped? Should we save him? How to save? Don't be stupid. Brother Jiang can't even handle it. We're here just to deliver food. Why not stay away and don't hold Brother Jiang back? Li Qinggai was even more nervous. If Jiang Fan is caught, who can kill Jeshan to avenge me, son? Wei's space blockade was too restrictive to Jiang Fan's teleportation and burrowing. Once trapped in a small area, no matter how strong Jiang Fan is, he can't defeat dozens or hundreds of superpowers. The night passed. Jiang Fan still hasn't come back. All the girls had dark circles under their eyes. No one could sleep, and they became more and more worried. Tang Zurao clapped her hands, attracted everyone's attention and said, "Sisters, let's pack everything and put on sneakers and hiking clothes. If Brother Jiang comes back and we need to leave immediately, we can leave immediately." With the experience last time, Tang Zurao and other women knew that the most important thing was to stabilize the situation first. Women who don't have a good relationship with her don't dare to cause trouble at this time that is asking for death. All the girls agreed. Secondly, let's go to the 28th and 33rd floors in groups to be on guard. If we encounter danger, we can have a reaction time with others. Finally, there are several daggers here, and everyone should hide one on their body. I mean, in case, if Brother Jiang is caught, and enemies come to arrest us, it is best for everyone to commit suicide immediately, so as not to embarrass Brother Jiang. Of course, the most important thing is to avoid suffering. We are all women, you all know it. Tang Zurao's voice was dry and helpless. All the girls looked pale after losing Jiang Fan's protection. The cruel apocalypse was revealed to every woman. Every woman knows very well that is a beautiful woman. If she is caught by the enemy, she will definitely be brutally abused, but not every man is like Jiang Fan. The women all clutched the daggers in their hands tightly, their fingers turning white and their faces solemn. Several women were almost crying and trembling all over. They don't dare to die, but they don't dare to be caught by the enemy when that moment comes. How many people will dare to commit suicide? No one knows at this moment. A blue portal suddenly appeared. Jiang Fan walked out carrying a beautiful woman. The ups and downs in life are so exciting. All the girls covered their mouths and cried with joy. Brother Jiang, Brother Jiang, Brother Jiang is back. Brother Jiang, you are finally back. Woohoo! A group of women surrounded Jiang Fan. Chapter 127 Weapon of Will. Heavy sword without edge. Jiang Fan said in confusion, "Why are you so excited? Why do you give each of you a dagger?" "Someone is coming," Tang Zurao said embarrassedly. "No, I just want everyone to make some preparations." She was embarrassed to say what she had just done. Jiang Fan laughed with satisfaction. "Tang Zurao, good job. No matter what, those who can keep a clear mind in the apocalypse are worthy of encouragement. This is the end of the world, and it is impossible for me to be by the girl's side anytime and anywhere. If there is any danger, women need to deal with it themselves." Jiang Fan keeps giving women superpowers just to cope with unexpected situations. He did not expect that Tang Zurao, a second-generation official female student, would be more adaptable to the end of the world than other women. "Very nice," Jiang Fan said with a smile. "Don't be afraid. The overall situation has been decided. I will finish it off. Keep an eye on this woman. There is not much danger." He dropped Jiang Bangsha and walked into the portal again. Tang Zuran and Liu Mingyao had the strongest physique and strength. The two women easily moved Jiang Bangsha into the room and took care of her together with Li Qinggai. Jiang Bangsha was extremely surprised when she saw that Li Qinggai was also tied up. It turns out that Li Qinggai was also arrested. Li Qinggai asked, "Where were you captured from before?" Jiang Bangsha could speak. Tang Zurao said coldly, "Shut up. Don't talk." In order to prevent collusion and confession, Tang Zurao had their mouths blocked. The matter is not over yet. These two women are both members of the base and theoretically enemies, so they must be cautious. Okay. Bai Xingji followed Tang Zurao's advice. Li Qinggai's mouth was blocked, but she didn't struggle much. She knew that there was no point in resisting. Each of these women has special abilities. Jiang Bangsha quickly begged for mercy. "I won't talk anymore. I won't talk anymore. Ah. Don't use socks, okay?" Jiang Fan walked into the portal after 2 consecutive teleportations. He arrived at the location where Duanzhen and others were captured. He saw Duanzhen and others all turned into cocoons and hanging on the treetops. Some people's feet have begun to melt, and more tentacle monster cubs have been born. Some people were pale and trembling, someone screamed in terror, some people were cursing Duanzhen, complaining that Duanzhen made a mistake in command, which led to everyone being killed. Some people even cursed Zheshan. By now, morale has completely collapsed. Jiang Fan curiously touched the barrier blocking the space, cold and flat. It feels like glass. He punched hard. Duong. The barrier was motionless. Jiang Fan felt the same huge force come back, and his body couldn't help but take a step back. He tried thrusting again with his dagger. The tip of the dagger was broken, but the barrier was still intact. Amazing. Jiang Fan could only wait quietly. After some time, click, the space blockade ended, and the barriers shattered like glass and disappeared without a trace. Jiang Fan approached slowly and stopped when he reached about 20 meters. This was the limit distance for absorbing will fragments. He took out his pistol, mounted it with a silencer, and pointed it at a man with powers who bowed his head and remained silent. Pew! The superhuman died on the spot without attracting much attention. On the one hand, it is in the red mist and the visibility is very poor. On the one hand, everyone is restless and only thinking about their own destiny, and no one has the intention to pay attention to others. The silver light ball flew into Jiang Fan's chest and merged into the weapon of will. The weapon of will became more and more solidified, as if it could become a physical entity at any time. Jiang Fan continued to shoot. Pew! 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 One after another. Silver light groups flew towards Jiang Fan. Finally, the will weapon buzzed and completely solidified from the virtual body. Jiang Fan knew instinctively that the weapon of will was finally condensed. He raised his hand, and an ever-changing silver ball of light appeared out of thin air. Jiang Fan's heart moved, and the silver light turned into a huge two-handed heavy sword, radiant, like a handful of translucent crystal weapons that manifest will quickly consume energy and physical strength. Jiang Fan didn't pay attention and just waved his hand excitedly. The heavy sword silently sliced through the tree trunks around him, leaving deep sword marks. The épée looks seamless, but is extremely sharp. The whole process is as easy as running a hot knife through butter. I finally have a handy weapon. Jiang Fan was overjoyed. The group of people finally discovered it and shouted in horror, "FK! Someone is shooting illegally. That rat? It's that rat. He's coming. Don't kill me. Don't kill me." In this case, Jiang Fan simply stopped hiding and quickly shot the few remaining superpowers to death. The silver light ball still flew out of their bodies, but this time it could not be integrated into the heavy sword and could only turn into light points and disappear into the air. Reached the limit. Jiang Fan guessed, activated the gravitational distortion, and flew to the only remaining Duanzhen. Duanzhen stared at Jiang Fan and said bitterly, "You are that mouse. You can indeed fly." Jiang Fan said nothing and slowly raised his heavy sword. Duanzhen panicked. "Don't kill me. Don't kill me. You save me, and I will listen to you from now on. If I die too and the strength of the base is greatly reduced, how can we continue to save the people of Mohe City?" Jiang Fan laughed. "When did you save people? Did you treat the survivors as slaves?" Duanzhen argued. "That's just a necessary price. For the sake of the overall situation, if you want to save more people, you have to sacrifice." Jiang Fan interrupted him with a smile. "Very well, you are also a necessary price, just the price for me to become stronger." Whoosh! The heavy sword slashed across Duanzhen, and the cocoon were split into two halves in front of the weapon of will. The sticky mucus of the tentacle monster cannot stop it at all. Jiang Fan was very satisfied. It is indeed indestructible. It's just that the consumption of energy and physical strength by weapons of will is too shocking. In just 1 minute, Jiang Fan felt a little tired both physically and mentally. In Jiang Fan's heart, the weapon of will shrank into a ball of light and sank into his chest. The energy and physical exertion stopped. He looked towards the red mist on the tree canopy. He still alarmed the tentacle monster. They have jumped along the tree, densely packed and overwhelming. Jiang Fan frowned. The reproduction speed of this ghost is amazing. He remembered that there were tentacle monsters over there at the Demon Sea Film and Television Academy, which was still very close to the Fortune Center community. You must check the situation regularly to avoid being surrounded by tentacle monsters. Accidentally, a tentacle shot out from the red mist and grabbed Jiang Fan. Disappear. Jiang Fan was very calm and allowed the tentacles to pass through his body. He checked again and found that none of the tentacle monsters that came over had twisted flesh. Jiang Fan lost interest, let go of gravity, twisted and fell, sinking into the ground. Then opened the portal underground and returned home. "I have gained a lot this time and need to organize it carefully." Jiang Fan returned safely, and the haze in the women's hearts completely disappeared. Some of the women were cooking, some were asking for help, and some were giving Jiang Fan bath water. The room became lively again and became popular again. In the end of the world, being able to live safely is already the greatest happiness. After eating, Jiang Fan did not rush to deal with Li Qingyu and Jiang Bangsha first, but took out a laptop from his pocket. He took out all the information he got from Jiang and planned to raid it all today, and that USB flash drive, Jiang's old thing, is hidden under the bed with great care. It can't be a video of a female teacher, right? It must be a major secret. Chapter 128: The ability on the tattoo. Jiang Fan inserted the USB flash drive into his laptop, but the content was not encrypted. There is a video and an instruction document on the USB flash drive. Jiang Fan scanned the documents first. The general content is, this is a top-secret video sent by the Dragon Space Administration. It was shot by the U-28 probe on the back of the moon. The shooting time was the 5th day after the red fog fell. It was sent to various scientific research units for brainstorming. Dragon Space Agency. How does red mist have anything to do with NASA? Jiang Fan opened the video in confusion. After watching the 10-second video, Jiang Fan's expression became solemn. A naked man walking on the surface of the moon. Is this guy a superpower or an alien? This video was not forged by Jiang, right? Jiang Fan looked at the document carefully again. It was a typical red-headed document with a bright red seal of top secret. He is not a member of the system, so he can't see any clues. This USB flash drive was hidden by Jiang in a secret compartment under the bed. Jiang would never have guessed that it would be stolen, so the probability of it being a real video is extremely high. Jiang Fan watched the video several times again, especially the golden tattoo on the mysterious man's body gives him a very special feeling. A large golden tattoo should be a whole, composed of more than a dozen independent parts connected, and seems to have some special meaning. Jiang Fan looked at it for a while and felt that the tattoo had a simple beauty, as well as some indescribable rhythm. Suddenly, Jiang Fan found that part of it seemed a bit familiar. I seem to have seen it somewhere. Jiang Fan paused the video, zoomed in, and observed it carefully. After watching it for a few minutes, he suddenly realized, I remembered it. It was the power light group in Li Qingyu's body. Li Qingyu's light group, representing the ability to distort gravity, looks like this part of the mysterious man's tattoo. It's strange. Why does a light group look like a tattoo? Jiang Fan immediately looked at Li Qingyu next door through his senses from the perspective of the light of the soul. There are two power light groups in her body. They are gravity distortion and will weapon. Jiang Fan looked at the gravity distorted light group and compared it with the tattoos on the mysterious man's body. Only then did I realize that the brush strokes of the tattoo were very mysterious, and the charm of this light group was accurately depicted with just a few strokes. Although the light group is three-dimensional and the tattoo is two-dimensional, you can tell at a glance that they are the same thing. Jiang Fan looked at other parts of the tattoo except for the small part that can be recognized. The other parts are not recognized. They are probably other powers. Only a small area below the belly button looks familiar. It seems to be similar to the body enhancing ability light group, but more complex and advanced. Maybe it's the physical enhancement of the Pro Max version. Jiang Fan made random guesses. Is the mysterious man a human with supernatural powers or an alien? If you want to get this kind of tattoo, you must first observe the power light group with the light of your soul. Human beings have just acquired superpowers, and the number of superpowers with spiritual light must be limited. These tattoos look like systematic things at first glance, and it is almost impossible for a human tattoo artist who has just gained superpowers to draw them. Moreover, with the world in chaos now, who has the spare time to draw tattoos on their bodies, unless the source of the mysterious man's ability is tattoos? This is unreasonable. First of all, human powers come from the fruit of enlightenment, and no one has this kind of tattoo. Secondly, if this mysterious man is a powerful alien, they obviously have more powerful and diverse abilities. Not surprisingly, the alien civilization also has a complete system based on supernatural powers. In this case, it is even more unreasonable to use tattoos to use abilities according to common sense. People with superpowers should try to hide their superpowers to prevent others from knowing. What are the tattoos on the skin for? How much can you show off your abilities? Isn't this so stupid? Unless you use tattoos to control abilities and have some special advantages. Jiang Fan found a fruit of power on the tree of all laws, the ability light group in the light of the soul ability tattoo on mysterious man's skin. He has observed three external manifestations of supernatural powers. Jiang Fan couldn't understand the reason at all. He played the video a few more times, but he was still filled with emotion. How had humans ever thought that the human body could survive in a cruel universe? He was basically certain that this mysterious man was an alien. Jiang Fan remembered Guo Changting's theory. The red mist is definitely caused by aliens. At that time, Li Qingyu asked Guo Changting, where are the aliens? Guo Changting's statement is, for an intelligent race that can cross the vast starry sky and come to the earth, Why should you let you discover them when they want to be invisible? It turns out that this is not the case at all. The alien race was indeed discovered by humans, but it was concealed by the top management. This news is definitely bad news. If the red mist is just a change in the environment, or the great fun caused by mad scientists, then there is still hope for human civilization to return to the top of the world. However, if it is aliens who are responsible, Jiang Fan put the USB disk into the portable space with a heavy heart. He took out other documents and information and read them. Most of them are internal affairs of the TV station, and there is not much valuable information. However, Jiang Fan still saw some important information. 1. The entire city of Kyoto has actually lost contact. No wonder I feel like the higher-ups are hiding. That's it. 2. The military is not without any action, but the troops outside Mohei City were previously blocked by Jeshanyu and were not allowed to enter. As for the reason, Jiang Fan knew it by thinking about it with his buttocks. Jeshanyu was simply worried that after the military entered the city, they would forcibly seize his power. After sorting out the information, Jiang Fan went to another room and untied the ropes from Li Qingyu and Jiang Bangsha. The overall situation has been decided and these two women can be dealt with. Jeshanyu is dead. 7 to 80 people with powers have died in the TV station base. It is estimated that it will not be able to survive. Li Qingyu couldn't believe it. Jiang Fan took out Jeshanayu's body and threw it on the ground. Li Qingyu was pleasantly surprised. Thank you. Thank you. Li Qingyu's excitement was beyond words. Dad, Mom, I will avenge you. This BD is finally dead. Jiang Bangsha looked at Jeshanayu's body in horror, and the fear of Jiang Fan in her heart reached its extreme. This arrogant big man is now thrown to the ground like a dog. Is this Jiang Fan's strength? How on earth did he do it? Jiang Fan took out another handful of enlightenment fruits. Follow me. Not only will you have food and drink, but you will also have enough superpower fruits. He doesn't have time to cultivate any bullshit feelings. Inducement is the most direct and efficient method in the dangerous apocalypse. Everyone desires more and more powerful abilities. Hitting women with superpower fruits now is as effective as hitting women with money in peaceful times. The two girls were stunned again. They couldn't understand that Jiang Fan actually had so many supernatural fruits worth thousands of gold. Why do you have so many superpower fruits? Jiang Fan did not explain, but gave Li Qingyu a perception fruit. This is the fruit of perception. All my women have it. This one is yours. Jiang Bangsha looked at Li Qingyu in surprise, an expression that says, you have also rebelled against the revolution. Li Qingyu hurriedly took the fruit of perception, her cheeks red with embarrassment. I haven't thought about it yet. Jiang Fan ignored her, took out another one, and seduced Jiang Bangsha directly. Do you want it? Jiang Bangsha looked at the superpower fruit eagerly. Before she finished speaking, Jiang Fan threw the enlightenment fruit to her. Jiang Bangsha hurriedly caught it and held it carefully in the palm of her hand. Her actions said it all. Jiang Fan raised his lips. Very good. If you take my superpower fruit, you'll be mine. Go take a shower. I'll wait for you in the room. After saying that, he walked into the room. Jiang Bangsha was at a loss. She looked at the superpower fruit in her hand and then at Jiang Fan's room, hesitating. Leave? Where to go? And does Jiang Fan allow himself to leave? Joke. The girls chuckled. Tang Zhao endured the sadness and said with a smile, Sister Bangsha, go take a shower quickly. Tonight belongs to you, and you will have to compete fairly with everyone in the future. If you are listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means it was downloaded and re-uploaded without effort. We warmly invite you to visit our channel, Fanfic World. There you will find the original version of this story and many other novels of various genres. We look forward to seeing you dive into a world of incredible novels. Chapter 129 Plants Give Birth. Half an hour later, Jiang Bangsha walked into Jiang Fan's room coquettishly. Jiang Fan was sitting by the window, casually eating a handful of enlightenment fruit. A pile of peels was thrown on the plate, which was as high as a hill. Jiang Bangsha was secretly speechless. How many superpowers does he have? Bang bang. Jiang Fan patted the sofa next to him. Come over, Jiang Bangsha was startled like a frightened little rabbit, and then walked over quietly. Jiang Fan glanced at her, and the delicious food was brought to his mouth, but he was not in a hurry. Being surrounded by so many beauties every day, he has been able to deal with it calmly. Jiang Bangsha looks beautiful to most men, and was a goddess in the past, but among Jiang Fan's women, she can only be considered ordinary. Jiang Fan said calmly, are you surprised? Jiang Bangsha calmed down for a moment, nodded and said, yes. How can you eat so many superpower fruits? Can your body bear it? Huh? Jiang Fan frowned. What do you mean? There is a limit to the number of superpowers you can bear, Jiang Bangsha said in surprise. Don't you know? Everyone in the base knows that each superpower will put a huge burden on the body, usually 1 or 2, and young adults can only have 3 at most. There are only a few people with extraordinary talents and strong physiques. People can bear more. I thought it was common sense. Is there such a restriction? Why didn't I feel it? Jiang Fan figured it out after thinking about it for a while. I ate the physique-enhancing fruit early, and my overall physique was relatively high, so I could continue to eat more super powerful fruits without feeling any physical burden. However, this also reminded him no matter how strong your overall physique is, there is an upper limit to the abilities you can bear. Unfortunately, what is the upper limit? He didn't know how to calculate it either. In addition, my women also have 2 or 3 superpowers, and they should popularize physical strengthening among them, otherwise they will no longer be able to eat new superpower fruits soon. This news is very important. Jiang Fan said calmly. I have clear rewards and punishments here. I will reward you with a new superpower fruit. What do you want? Jiang Bangsha said in confusion. Can I still choose? Jiang Fan thought for a while and said, oh, by the way, you can't choose because you already have 2 powers, and the third one must enhance your physique. Otherwise you won't be able to add new powers in the future. You still have to take a shower after eating the physique strengthening fruit. It's too late today. Forget it. I'll give you another physical strengthening fruit tomorrow morning. You can strengthen your physical condition by eating it. Jiang Bangsha was completely confused. He has so many superpower fruits that he can arrange them at will. Jiang Fan saw it. The red light on Jiang Bangsha completely disappeared, and some green light began to appear. Obviously, under the temptation of the enlightenment fruit, Jiang Bangsha's resistance disappeared. All benefits are eternal. There are no exceptions for both men and women. This female doctor is still very useful. Although she is only a medical student, she can still replace Li Qingqun to a certain extent. Jiang Fan asked again, have you ever tried to induce superpower fruits at the base? Jiang Bangsha said disappointedly. Director Jie has asked me to try it several times. I have tried all kinds of plants that can grow super powerful fruits. It is useless to stimulate the growth of plants. It can only accelerate the growth of plants and cannot grow new super powerful fruits. Jiang Fan nodded. This is normal. If she can produce super power fruit, it will be a strategic weapon. It is definitely impossible to be sent out to participate in the battle, and it is impossible for the base to have only more than 100 superpowers. After Jiang Fan finished asking what he wanted to ask, he turned off the light. Okay, that's it. It's time to go to sleep. Jiang Bangsha's little face suddenly turned red. Early morning. Jiang Fan stretched out comfortably with a comprehensive constitution of over 200. He no longer needs sleep at all physiologically, but I fought with Duanzhen and others for 2 days in the past 2 days, and I was exhausted both mentally and physically. After a good sleep, I finally fully recovered. Jiang Fan took a look at the system prompt from last night. Ling. 1 day ago, Jiang Bangsha consumed a pack of compressed biscuits and returned 1,300 packs. It has been put into the carry-on space. Ling. 1 day ago, Jiang Bangsha consumed 1 enlightenment fruit, perception, and 1,300 pieces were returned. It has been put into the portable space. Ling. 2 days ago, Jiang Bangsha consumed a can of military braised pork and returned 1,300 cans. It has been put into the carry-on space. Ling. 3 days ago, Jiang Bangsha consumed a pack of military mustard and returned 1,300 packs. It has been put into the portable space. Ling. 21 days ago, Jiang Bangsha consumed an enlightenment fruit, plant birth, and got 1,300 fruits back. It has been put into the portable space. Enlightenment fruit, plant growth. 1 star. After eating it, you can gain the ability to spawn plants. Eating the same fruit repeatedly has a chance of improving the star rating. Jiang Fan immediately took out a plant-induced fruit and ate it. Plant growth. 1 star, you can accelerate plant growth. The introduction of this ability is very simple. Jiang Fan couldn't see anything special. Gravity twist, disappear. Jiang Fan flew through the ceiling and came to the top of the building, ready to find a plant to test. Now, weeds are starting to grow in the corners of the roof. Jiang Fan had never noticed these details before, so he squatted down and took a closer look. Weeds began to grow from a little bit of soil in the corner, and then gradually adapted to the cement. They forced their roots into the cement and slowly grew and spread toward the middle. Jiang Fan broke a piece of cement with one punch, crushed the cement, and the roots of the weeds will spread out in all directions. Jiang Fan couldn't help but sigh when he saw this. Under the influence of the red mist, The concrete floor slabs could not stop the weeds if the situation does not change. It won't be long before traces of human existence will be completely submerged by the ocean of plants. Thinking of the aliens hiding in the dark, Jiang Fan became even more depressed. How terrifying would an alien traveling across the universe be? Jiang Fan couldn't help but think of King Frieza in Dragon Ball. Stop it. Who can stand that kind of perversion? Jiang Fan still doesn't understand. Why are aliens going to the barren Earth? For a civilization of their level, the Earth should be so barren that it is not much different from a desert. They can either ignore it or simply destroy it as they pass by. Just like a human stepping on an ant to death. Why create a red mist disaster? Isn't this unnecessary? Jiang Fan couldn't figure it out, so he focused his thoughts on a weed. Plants are born. A large amount of physical strength surged out of the body and rushed towards the weeds. The weeds are growing up quickly. In just half a minute, it grew from a dozen centimeters to over 1 meter tall. The concrete floor nearby was completely torn apart by the roots of weeds. Finger-thick rhizomes, black and tough, shuttled and intertwined in the cement, and finally arched out of the ground. Jiang Fan picked up a rhizome and pulled hard, but it kept pulling. It wasn't until he burst out with 200% energy and blood that he broke the root. Chapter 130 Physique Plus 1. Injured White Fox. Jiang Fan was surprised. Good guy, this thing is almost as tough as steel bars. Jiang Fan didn't know what this thing could do, but the rope was very strong anyway. I just collected a large bundle and threw it into my carry-on space for later uses. For the energy consumed, Jiang Fan realized it carefully and realized that he could produce about 40 to 50 weeds in one go. Jiang Fan made some calculations and realized that this battle with the TV station base was fruitful. There are 4 more superpowers: plant birth, gravity distortion, will weapon, and soulite. A lot of important information was also obtained, including the loss of contact with Kyoto City, suspected aliens on the moon, Yang Shao's troops nearby, and the physical burden of supernatural powers. By the way, there are 2 more women, Li Qingyu and Zhang Bangsha. They are small prizes that come with the battle. Jiang Fan gradually discovered that as time went by, there were fewer and fewer survivors outside. There are fewer women, and even fewer beauties. The beauties who can survive outside are either superpowers themselves or become the strong RBQ. Only in the TV station base, a settlement of survivors established by the old forces, can they barely maintain the previous order. There are a large number of women living there, and the probability of beautiful women appearing is also greater. In order to deal with the aliens hiding in the dark, I continue to become stronger. If I want to become stronger, I have to go to the big settlement. There are enough women there. Jiang Fan thought to himself, Yang Shao's army is pretty good otherwise. Find a way to lure Yang Shao's into the city and let him gather the survivors. As for how the military enters the city and gathers survivors, that is the military's business. Judging from the communication records between Yang Shao's and Zheshanqi, the military seems to be very sure about this anyway. When all the survivors gather together, he can go to the military settlement to pick peaches. Jiang Fan pondered. Survivors outside were scattered everywhere. Where can I find it myself? It's too much effort. It's better to live in a large settlement. Jiang Fan made up his mind and planned to go to Mohei Film and Television Academy to take a look. I don't know what happened to the tentacle monster group over there. Jiang Fan spawned several more weeds and collected more grass roots. When he returned home, the woman had already prepared breakfast. Zhang Bangsha also woke up, standing shy and embarrassed in the corner at a loss. The woman who was an enemy yesterday has become an enemy today. She felt a bit like a traitor. Li Qingyu was also a little embarrassed. Tang Zhao comforted her with the air of a lady. Sit down, Sister Qingyu, Sister Bangsha. According to Brother Jiang's order, you are the last to come. Sitting at the end is also everyone's sister. The 2 girls blushed and huddled in the corner. Jiang Fan picked up a mutant frog barbecue and started eating it. No matter what the food is that day, mutated frog meat and enlightenment fruit are what he must eat every day. He also required that every woman must eat 1 mutated frog meat every day. The more the better. Women like Hu Lili and Tang Zhao, who have taken a strengthened physique, are better off and have larger appetites. Other women have headaches. They stay in the room every day, don't exercise much, and don't eat much. Therefore, a few days ago, Jiang Fan went out specially to build some fitness facilities for exercising: treadmills, rowing machines, etc. Let women exercise every day, which can not only consume physical energy but also keep in shape. Girls are still very lazy and don't want to do sports. Tang Zhao secretly reminded every girl, as time goes by, other women will have perfect figures, and you will become a fat woman. Who would like a fat woman? Only then did the girls react. In the last days, being abandoned by Jiang Fan means death. All the girls now started to exercise voluntarily, and now their appetites are also large. Jiang Fan was eating with the girls and was in a good mood. Bai Xinji suddenly accidentally knocked over a plate while the room fell silent and everyone looked at her. Bai Xinji was startled and stammered, "No, no, I'm sorry. My strength seems to have suddenly increased." As she spoke, a small amount of black dirt appeared on her body surface, and it also exuded an unpleasant smell. The girls covered their noses in disgust. "It stinks." Only Tang Zuo and Hu Lili looked at Bai Xinji enviously. Bai Xinji's face was as red as blood, and she said awkwardly, What's going on?" Jiang Fan smiled and said, "It's okay. This is the effect of eating mutated frog meat. If you eat too much, your physique will be strengthened." Bai Xinji's surprise, "Really, only?" Then did the girls realize it, and they were immediately envious. "Brother Jiang, I also want to improve my physical fitness. In the last days, the stronger the body, the greater the chance of survival. Everyone knows this truth," Jiang Fan said with a smile. "Then eat more mutated frog meat." The girls looked at the meat skewers in their hands with shining eyes and started eating. Even the newly arrived Li Qingyu and Zhang Bangsha are no exception. No one wants to miss this kind of good stuff. Li Mingyo consumes a mutant frog barbecue and gets 1,300 pieces back. It has been put into the portable space. Ling Tianyuan consumes a mutated frog barbecue and gets 1,300 pieces back. It has been put into the portable space. Ling Sujin consumes a mutant frog barbecue and gets 1,300 pieces back. It has been put into the portable space. Next to Mohei Film and Television Academy, Little Bear Pet Beauty Shop. A white fox with glowing blue eyes struggled to get in through the crack in the door. It was covered in blood, and a piece of fur was lifted on its right thigh, revealing bright red flesh. The white fox limped through the beauty shop, got out of the back door and entered a yard. He breathed heavily for a while before moving on, slowly moving towards the building. There was blood dripping from the wound on the thigh, and it was sticky all over the body. The distance that used to be covered in 1 minute took the white fox a full hour to finally move to the stairs. The lock on the iron door of the staircase was immediately opened. A girl ran out anxiously, picked up the white fox, and shouted in a crying voice, Zuier, Zuier, what's wrong with you?" Chapter 131. This beast is no longer good anyway, let's eat it. The white fox curled up in Suzai Omai's arms. Dying, Suzai Omai cried bitterly and stroked the white fox's wound heartbrokenly. "Zuier, it's all my fault. If I hadn't asked you to go out hunting every day, you wouldn't have been hurt." The white fox tried hard to raise his head and lick Sumaier's palm, as if to comfort his master. At this time, deep in the corridor covered with red mist, several men and women gathered around. The leader was a tall and thin man named Song Peng. His hair was oily because he hadn't showered for a long time. Song Peng said anxiously, "Where is the prey? Why would it come back if there's no prey?" Su Zia Omai said sadly, "Zuier is injured." Song Peng glanced at him in surprise. "This fox is really hurt." Everyone in the whole building knows how powerful this fox is. If this white fox hadn't come back from hunting frequently, everyone would have starved to death. Others also gathered around, looking at the white fox's injury, and started talking about it. "When will it be better? If it doesn't hunt, what will we eat? Oh, this fox is so careless. He must have gone out and wandered around." "Stop talking nonsense. What should we do now? How can a beast be so delicate? It's just a small superficial wound. Little sister, look carefully." Ha ha ha. A few old people were even more gloating about their misfortune. Suzai Omai, a little girl, relies on the ability of white foxes to hunt, so she pretends to be aloof and usually ignores everyone. She even has to preside over the distribution of the meat of the prey. Can a little kid and a girl be able to do such a big thing? Moreover, Suzai Omai still insisted on fair distribution. How ridiculous. A little girl's movie. Does she know what fairness means? You don't even know how to respect the elderly and love the young? Isn't it natural to take care of the elderly? Okay, now that the white fox is injured, let's see what else you complain about. A middle-aged woman named Li Ting, holding a child in her arms, said, "It's okay if you don't eat. My child is only 6 years old. How can he grow up without food for 3 days? Little sister, can your fox go out tomorrow?" After listening to everyone's words, Suzai Omai's heart felt cold, and her eyes were filled with tears. At this time, the white fox couldn't even open his eyes. Song Peng noticed something was wrong with the white fox. It seemed to be seriously injured. Song Peng began to worry and reached out to grab the white fox. "Let me see it." Su Zia Omai turned around anxiously. "What are you doing?" The White Fox suddenly raised its head, bared its teeth, and let out a threatening growl. Song Peng was startled and said sarcastically, "Aren't I worried?" The White Fox laid down sluggishly again. It seemed that this time the movement consumed a lot of energy, and his breathing was not smooth by this time. Everyone discovered that the White Fox's injury seemed to be particularly serious. Now everyone couldn't sit still. If the White Fox really dies, everyone will have to go without food. When Suzaomi saw the White Fox's appearance, she started crying again. Zuir. Zuir. What's wrong with you? At the critical moment, she didn't have time to get angry, so she cried out for help. Who has alcohol in gauze at home? Give me some. Stop Zuir's bleeding. Everyone hesitated. I don't have one at home. Neither do I. I am a single man. How can I have such a thing? There should be one in Li Ting's family. She has children at home, and the children will inevitably stumble. Su Xiaomi immediately looked at Li Ting and said anxiously, Sister Li, give me some alcohol gauze. This. Li Ting became embarrassed. She only had half a bottle of alcohol left, and there wasn't much gauze left nowadays. Medical supplies are life-saving things, so how could she be willing to give them to others? If only that beast could be saved, I would still be able to be a favor to Suzaomi. Now look at that beast's appearance. It's breathing in but not breathing out. It looks like it's going to die. If you give me alcohol and gauze now, you will definitely lose money. Doesn't Suzaomi rely on this beast? Even if the fox dies, Suzaomi doesn't even count. How is it possible to repay oneself for the alcohol and gauze? Li Ting immediately said, my family is running out. Really? Of course. Suzaomi didn't believe it and said angrily, Sister Li, I usually see that you have children at home, and the meat given to you is always the best. All that meat was brought back by Zuir from hunting adventures outside. Now you don't even give her some gauze. Li Ting became angry from shame. Hey, how can you, a little girl, frame someone up? At my age, I would lie to you? If you don't believe me, come with me to your house and see. Let's go. Let's go. Su Xiaomi was about to cry. Bai Hu was dying, so she had no time to talk to Li Ting. Everyone also became anxious once the White Fox died. This small settlement could no longer sustain itself. Next, everyone has to rely on their own abilities. Song Peng and several young and middle-aged men looked at each other, stood together silently, whispered, and stared at Suzaomi with ill intentions. Without the deterrence of the White Fox, Suzaomi is just an ordinary woman. Moreover, Suzaomi is still a beauty. She is petite and cute, and has two small tiger teeth, which is very attractive to men. Song Peng and the other men discussed it for a while and then slowly walked towards Suzaomi. Song Peng sneered and stretched out his hand. Little sister, let me see how the White Fox is doing. Su Xiaomi felt something was wrong in the atmosphere and said in panic, what are you doing? Song Peng ignored Suzaomi's resistance and forcefully reached out to touch the White Fox. This time the White Fox couldn't raise its head and couldn't protect its master. It was obviously on the verge of death. Don't touch my Zuir, Suzaomi said nervously. Song Peng was determined and said with a ferocious smile, this fox has not completed its hunting mission today. What should we eat? It is going to die anyway, so why not eat it? This is not Song Peng's bad taste, but he thought that by eating the fox, he might be able to gain the fox's abilities. During this time, foxes hunted various mutated animals from outside. After everyone ate them, they all felt their physical strength improved a lot. It's not just one or two people, but several people who feel this way, since eating those weak mutant animals can make you stronger. What about eating powerful foxes? Isn't it stronger? Even get superpowers? This survivor colony is relatively closed so far. No one knows that the White Fox's superpowers come from the superpower fruit, and they think it is a natural mutation. When everyone heard this, they immediately reacted. Yes, this fox is the most valuable treasure. People all showed cruel smiles. Yes, it's dead anyway, so why keep it? Food is in short supply now, so don't waste it. This fox is not big. Everyone can share a little bit. If you scrape by, you can have a meal. Su Xiaomi couldn't believe her ears. What are you guys saying? For so long, it can be said that the White Fox has fed everyone here. Now the White Fox is injured, and you actually want to eat it? At this moment, a very angry male voice exploded. What are you going to do to my niece? A strong, fat black man rushed over brandishing a kitchen knife. Chapter 132. There are many people outside. Let's eat with our own family. Everyone was startled and hurried away seeing the savior. Suzaomi ran over with a white fox in her arms and cried, "Uncle! They are going to eat Zuir." The fat black man's name is Wu Yong, and he is Suzaomi's uncle. Suzaomi opened a bear pet beauty shop, which earned a good income. The white fox was her own pet. When the red mist fell, Wu Yong and Suzaomi's aunt Su Hong came to Mohe City for a trip and temporarily stayed at Suzaomi's home. Then the red mist suddenly came, and they were trapped here until now eating white fox. Wu Yong turned his eyes slightly when he heard this and shouted, "You ungrateful bastards! Get out of here!" Wu Yong has always been domineering, tall and strong. No one from Songpeng and others dared to stop him. They could only watch with a gloomy face as Wu Yong protected Suzaomi and left. The two came to Suzaomi's home on the 4th floor. Su Hong came over and said eagerly, "Little sister, where is today's prey?" Suzaomi cried, "Zuir is injured? She's about to die? What?" Su Hong's face suddenly turned ugly. "If the fox dies, what will he eat next?" Before she could speak, Wu Yong pulled her aside and whispered a few words. Su Hong's eyes suddenly lit up. She hesitated, then came over and said, "Little sister, how about we eat it?" Suzaomi looked at Su Hong in disbelief, and, "What are you doing, uncle? Look at her." Wu Yong rubbed his hands in embarrassment and said with a smile, "Such a small white fox only needs a little meat. There are so many people outside, how much can we share with them? Of course we can eat it ourselves behind closed doors." Suzaomi felt cold all over when she looked at her familiar yet unfamiliar aunt and uncle. "You." "Actually," Su Hong quickly said, "little sister, my aunt doesn't want this, but Zuir is dying, right? This is the end of the world, and we have to accept the reality in order to live longer," Su Hong said, putting her arms around Suzaomi's shoulders, with an expression that she was thinking about you. Suzaomi shook her hands suddenly and said with a cry, "No. No one can touch my Zuir. Zuir used to hunt and feed you, but you actually do this to her." Wu Yong said heartbrokenly, "Hey, little sister, you can't say that. You saw what happened today. If I hadn't rushed out, you would have been robbed by those bastards from Songpeng. It was like this before. If I hadn't helped you control it, do you think a white fox can protect you? All you have to do every day is wait for the white fox to bring back its prey, and I have a lot to think about." Su Hong advised again, "Yes, it's the end of the world now, and none of us women can survive without a man. The past few days were calm, and it was all thanks to your uncle's help behind the scenes. Now the white fox is going to die. You ask your uncle to eat more if he gets superpowers. It can also help us live longer, right?" Before she finished speaking, Suzaomi suddenly rushed into the bedroom holding Baihu with a bang. The door was locked. Only then did Su Hong react. She yanked the door several times and couldn't open it, and said angrily, "Little sister Su, open the door." Suzaomi shouted angrily, "No. Don't even think about it. She just has a tender face and is not a fool." She went to the Demon Sea from a small city to work hard, and even opened a pet grooming shop. How could she not understand the selfishness of these people? Su Hong said angrily, "Wu Yong, what are you looking at? Kick the door. Don't let her swallow the white fox body to herself, okay?" Wu Yong spat twice, kicked the door with a bang. The door made a loud bang. Suzaomi screamed, "Don't come in. Don't come in. This is my room." Wu Yong didn't say anything. He just focused on kicking the door. Boom, boom, boom. The door is crumbling. Mohe Film and Television Academy is 20 meters underground. Jiang Fan looked at the scene on the ground with numb scalp. The entire Demon Sea Film and Television Academy has completely turned into a nest of tentacle monsters. There are dense tentacle monsters everywhere. There were sticky cocoons hanging everywhere. There are humans and animals in the cocoon, even giant dogs exceeding 5 meters in size. The number of tentacle monsters is multiplying exponentially. As long as these tentacle monsters in the cocoons grow up, the tentacle monsters will sweep away all surrounding creatures. Jiang Fan can kill one or two, but there are at least thousands here. There are countless tentacle monsters growing in the cocoon. No, we can no longer live in the Fortune Center community. Who knows, one day they will burst out. Jiang Fan turned around and left. Along the way, there were no traces of survivors in the building. Some tentacle monsters are traveling and hunting in the red mist. Many survivors were captured and turned into food for young tentacle monsters. Some smart ones have already started to run away. Jiang Fan saw 3 teams of survivors trekking in the dense forest. They were desperately escaping from the surroundings of the Demon Sea Film and Television Academy. Why did a group of people escape from this small building? Don't they know about tentacle monsters? Jiang Fan looked at the 6-story low building not far away in confusion. He quietly approached. Huh? Isn't this the blue, ginger, white fox from the beginning? When Jiang Fan went to Mohei Film and Television Academy for the first time, he had encountered this white fox, and he still remembered its power. This petite white fox's combat power is almost the same as that of the mutated frog. Why is it dying? Such a powerful mutated white fox. What could hurt it? Jiang Fan hesitated for a moment and walked over underground. He first used his senses to confirm that there were no people with powers in the small building. Then he slowly flew out of the ground, rose to the bedroom window on the 4th floor, and then flew in through the wall in the vision of the light of the soul. There is a supernatural light group on the white fox, which means that it has only one ability. The girl holding the white fox is very beautiful, but she is just an ordinary person and has no powers. It's really strange how an ordinary beauty can live to this day. Suzai Omi, age 26, quality 9 points, cute little tiger teeth, women's virtue 10 points, not considered human affairs, comprehensive score 9 points, Ling. Meets system requirements. Suzai Omi was crying when she suddenly found a pair of shoes in front of her and was startled when he looked up. He saw a handsome young man. Suzai Omi said tremblingly, are you a human or a ghost? Jiang Fan laughed. Is this white fox your pet? When Suzai Omi heard this, she had no time to be afraid. Yes, it's dying. Woo woo woo, boom, 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 woo. Yang is still kicking the door. Jiang Fan frowned and glanced at the door. Who's out there? Su. Zaya Omi said sadly, my aunt and uncle, they want to eat Zuir. Please save Zuir. She was a little sick and rushed to the doctor. Jiang Fan was very calm. Most of the survivors were short of food. They are all cannibals, and eating mutated animals is perfectly normal. Jiang Fan bent down and looked at the white fox. I can save it, but you have to come with me, Su. Zaya Omi was stunned for a moment, then said with surprise and determination, okay. As long as you can save Zuir, I will be yours. She just likes Zuir, and she's not stupid. She knew that if the white fox died, she would not be able to live long as a woman. 9 times out of 10, he will die miserably. If the mysterious man opposite can save Zuir, what will happen next? Take it one step at a time. Jiang Fan raised his lips slightly and was in a good mood. It was a bit of a game to have a little beauty. After a trip, he squatted in front of the white fox and put his hands on the white fox. A flash of green light appeared, and the wound slowly healed. Half a minute later, the white fox slowly opened his eyes. Chapter 133, Military Rebellion. Zuir. Suzai Omi picked up the white fox in surprise. The white fox seemed to be wondering how he recovered, licked his master's cheek, and then looked at Jiang Fan curiously. It understood that it was the two-legged beast in front of it that saved itself. Jiang Fan saw the alternating yellow and green lights on the white fox, and knew that the white fox was quite smart and not hostile to him. Just not hostile. If the white fox dared to attack him, Jiang Fan wouldn't mind killing it on the spot. Save after save, kill after kill. There is no conflict between the two. Jiang Fan suddenly saw a group of survivors running towards this side in panic, with several tentacle monsters running through the woods behind them. Time to go. At least we can no longer live in the Fortune Center community. Jiang Fan stood up. Follow me, Su. Zaya Omi hesitated. My aunt and uncle are still outside. Don't hurt them. Jiang Fan glanced at the tentacle monster that was approaching quickly and said with a smile, no problem. He drew his finger in midair, then gently tore it open, and a blue portal appeared. Suzai Omi opened her mouth wide in surprise and quickly reacted. Is this a superpower? It turns out that humans can also have superpowers. I thought only white foxes have superpowers. Click. The bedroom door finally cracked. Wu Yong's voice came in. Even a broken door wants to block me? Delusion. The white fox meat is mine, Su. Zaya Omi was even more disappointed when she heard this. Jiang Fan picked up the princess and walked into the blue portal. The portal closed instantly. Boom. Wu Yong finally kicked a big hole in the door, reached in and opened the door. Ha ha ha. White fox meat, here I come. Huh? Where is that stinky girl? Su. Hong also followed in anxiously. Where's the little sister? Where has the little sister gone? The room was empty and the windows were locked. The two of them were confused. They clearly saw Suzai Omi walking in and then disappearing. Where are the people? Damn it. Wu Yong couldn't help but shudder. How come a big living person is gone? At this moment, there was a crash from the balcony of the living room, as if the glass window had been smashed. Who did this? Wu Yong rushed out of the bedroom. It was Song Peng who broke into the house with several men. You are seeking death. Wu Yong was angry and frightened. He turned around and went into the kitchen to pick up a kitchen knife. When he came out, he suddenly discovered something. Song Peng actually held a crossbow in his hand, pointing it directly at him. Grass, why is this happening? Su Hong was also held up by someone with a dagger and did not dare to move. Bang! Wu Yong simply threw the kitchen knife away and knelt on the ground with a thud. Brother, please tell me if you have something to say. Song Peng was stunned for a moment. He didn't expect Wu Yong, who was tall and powerful, to actually play this trick. He sneered, I didn't expect you to be quite sensible, eh? Man stepped forward and picked up the kitchen knife. Song Peng then slapped him. Snapped, aren't you usually very upright? Wu Yong cursed in his heart that Song Peng was cut into pieces with 1,000 swords. Mada had a crossbow for not bringing it out earlier. He had a smile on his face and said, good fight. I was blind and bumped into Mr. Song. This left Song Peng speechless. Okay, where is that little girl of yours? Give me the fox body. Wu Yong felt a thump in his heart and said with a bitter face, Mr. Song, I don't know. She was in this room just now. When I came in, she was gone. Snapped, Song Peng slapped him again and roared, do you think I'm a fool? Wu Yong waved his hands repeatedly, don't dare. It's really like this, FK. You kid must want to devour the fox for yourself. Beat me, Brother Song, it's really not true, Stop fighting. I didn't lie to you. After everyone beat up Wu Yong and Su Hong, they still insisted that Su Xiaomi disappeared by herself, FK. These two guys are quite tough-mouthed. Little sister Su has probably run away. Damn. Isn't the white fox gone? Okay. Bring that BCH over here and let the brothers have fun. Let's see if the person named Wu says anything. Wu Yong and Su Hong repeatedly begged for mercy. They were extremely sad and angry. This is where Su Xiaomi disappeared. Why did no one believe the truth? Just then, another crash was heard. A thick tentacle penetrated the room, entangled Song Peng, who was showing off his power, and rolled him out in an instant. Song Peng disappeared into the red mist outside the window. Everyone was dumbfounded. Immediately afterwards, more tentacles rushed in from various windows. Wow, everyone immediately exploded. Help, what the hell? What the hell? Cut it, I can't cut it, it's too sticky. A few minutes later, everyone was caught by the tentacle monster, made into cocoons and hung on the branches. Wu Yong woke up and found that he was stuck in a cocoon. Surrounded by dense cocoons, there are animals and people in the cocoon. Next to him is the cocoon of his wife Su Hong. Some people's bodies have been mostly melted, but they are still alive, wailing in pain that is not human-like. Wu Yong shouted in horror, no. Don't. Help. Little sister Su, help me. Little sister Su, around the Demon Sea, the 910 troops are stationed in the quiet base. Gunfire suddenly erupted. Yang Shadows in the office stood up suddenly and shouted with a cold face, Guard! Guard! What's going on? There was no response from the outside. Yang Shadows walked out of the door quickly. The corridor in the red mist was empty and lifeless. All 4 guards outside are missing. At this time, the sound of clicking footsteps came from the depths of the red mist. An officer with a hooked nose walked out of the red mist on blood. Behind him was a group of officers and soldiers. Yang Shadows' eyes narrowed. He quickly pulled out his pistol and said angrily, Zhu Ji, why are you here? Where are the others? Guards. Guards, Zhu Ji sneered, no need to shout, all your people are dead. I advise you to put down the gun. I can leave you a whole body. Yang Shadows said angrily, Zhu Ji, you are rebelling. You will be court-martialed. Zhu Ji laughed wildly, ha, where did the military court come from? Stop talking nonsense, Yang Shadows. I will ask you one last thing, surrender to me and come with me. Yang Shadows said firmly, impossible. You are not an officer appointed by the state. Before he finished speaking, Zhu Ji punched out Yang Shadows' head. Exploded like a watermelon. Zhu Ji laughed wildly and said, now, Unit 910, I have the final say. The crowd cheered. Chapter 134. Sitting in rows to share fruits. The room was filled with joy. Second uncle, you are awesome. Second brother, it's up to you to take care of the big guy from now on. Second brother, you used to lead everyone to make a fortune, but now it's up to you to lead everyone to make a living. Village Chief Zhu, I have long seen that you are a person and have made up my mind to follow you. Amidst the compliments from a group of relatives, Zhu Ji waved triumphantly and said, don't worry. Zhuji, we'll have something to eat from now on, and I'll make sure that all the young and old men won't be hungry. Next, to the 910 unit station, there's Zhujia village. This group of people are all villagers of Zhujia village, and they are all related to Zhuji. After the red mist fell, the 910 troops were in chaos for a while. Finally, Yang Shao's took control of the troops. After stabilizing the situation, Yang Shao's organized soldiers to protect the villagers of Zhujia village. Zhuji is a villager in Zhujia village, the village chief of Zhujia village, and the owner of the Zhujia village cement factory. In fact, he and his brothers opened several nearby cement factories. Zhuji is a very capable person. He is good at dancing and maintains a good relationship with the Dongshan district government. He can also be cruel and ruthless. He kept a few desperate thugs in the cement factory and firmly controlled the cement factory. No one dared to mess with him at ordinary times, and he was considered a big shot near Dongshan district. After Zhujikan was protected by the army, Zhuji actively got in and mingled with the lower-level officers of the army. Soon he learned about the existence of the superpower fruit. Then, he used a gold chain to buy a superpower fruit from the officer, and luckily obtained a powerful 7-star combat ability. With this ability, coupled with his skill, he continued to have relationships with lower-level officers, and soon the middle and lower levels of the 910 unit were riddled with holes in peacetime. This is naturally impossible, but now is the end of the world. The soldiers' hearts were in a state of confusion. Yang Shao's was an unexpectedly promoted officer. The officers below him were not familiar with him. Zhuji quickly took control of Unit 910. In essence, the young and old-fashioned Yang Shao's had no idea about this, so Zhuji found an opportunity to launch a military coup to seize power. He was extremely excited. Yang Shao's is such a bad guy. He has tens of thousands of troops, but he doesn't move and pretends to be a BD. He also says that he is not allowed to enter the city under orders from his superiors. What a fart. These are troubled times, and having a gun in your hand is the best thing. Orders from superiors are nothing. Zhuji worked non-stop to recruit middle and lower-level officers, used various promises and guarantees to barely stabilize the morale of the army, and temporarily took control of the army. After simply stabilizing the situation, Zhuji did not stop and immediately held a meeting with 15 major military officers and 8 confidants. Zhuji stood in front of everyone and said ambitiously, "We can't stop. The end of the world is a global disaster. We need to expand our army and increase the number of superpowers as soon as possible so that we can have the chance to survive in the drastic changes in the future. I decided to rescue all the survivors in Mohe City immediately." When everyone heard this, their eyes suddenly lit up. Yang Shao's stay on standby has long aroused the dissatisfaction of countless people because he blocks everyone's opportunity to get promoted and make a fortune. For ordinary soldiers, staying still can save their lives, but for military officers, this is not the case. When the red mist first came, everyone was a little scared. It was later discovered that these mutated animals were still carbon-based creatures, and they were still wiped out in front of guns and cannons. That's a bit scary. Think about it, you are surrounded by Mohe City, holding powerful violent weapons. What a great opportunity to make achievements. If order is restored in the future and I have saved a large number of survivors now, I will be able to get enough credit in the future to be promoted and make a fortune. If order cannot be restored, then with hundreds of thousands of people at his disposal, he can become a powerful force. In short, you can attack when you advance, and you can defend when you retreat. It is in the interest of most officers to act immediately to rescue the survivors of Mohe City. Everyone said heartbrokenly, "General Zhu is righteous. The people are suffering. How can we stand by and watch? General Yang is so incompetent. Countless people die every day, and he actually stands still. Raise an army for 1,000 days and use it for a while. General Zhu, give the order." Zhu Ji was secretly proud. When you first take office, you must make achievements and establish your authority before you can sit firmly. Rescuing survivors is a meritorious service. At the same time, it can also provide enough manpower for military expansion. Only by expanding the army can officers have the opportunity to be promoted. Even if he is a small company commander, the number of people in his hands may increase several times. Zhuji talked eloquently. "I have investigated and found that there are at least 1 million people in Mohe City. Even if 1/10 is rescued, it will still be 100,000 people. In this way, the stretched manpower can be alleviated. Of course, if a large number of survivors are rescued, we will also have to make various preparations. First of all, food. Yang Shadows captured the Binhe National Strategic Reserve warehouse. A lot of food has rotted and deteriorated, but there are still a large number of compressed biscuits, cans, etc. So we are not short of food for the time being. Zhu Hao, from now on you will serve as the quartermaster and be responsible for manage all military rations and distribute other supplies. Zhu Ji had the food in his hands as soon as he opened his mouth. Zhu Hao is his biological brother. He has worked hard with him for more than 10 years and is very trustworthy. The original quartermaster was Yang Shadows' man and had been killed by Zhu Ji. Okay, brother. Zhu Hao said happily. The quartermaster is a fat guy. In the last days when food is scarce, you have enough food to feed millions of people for several years. What kind of power is this? The officers didn't say anything. No matter who comes to power, they must control food. This is normal, Zhu Ji said again. I decided to establish a force of superpowers, and all combat superpowers can be used together to achieve maximum combat effectiveness. This force of superpowers will be under my direct command. Zhu Jiaming, you will be my deputy. Of course, the most powerful force must be controlled in one's own hands. Zhu Ji will not be polite. Don't worry, second uncle. Zhu Jiaming is Zhu Ji's nephew. He has been tall and strong since he was a child. Zhu Jiaming didn't like going to school, so he dropped out of junior high school. He worked hard in the cement factory with his second uncle Zhu Ji, and won Zhu Ji's trust. Some things that were inconvenient for Zhu Ji to do were all done by Zhu Jiaming some time ago. Zhu Ji also got a superpower fruit for Zhu Jiaming. The officers were silent. Zhu Ji knew that he had gained enough benefits, and he should give some benefits to these officers, otherwise they would definitely have different intentions. Sidewalk. The industry around Mohe City is very developed. If we want to persist for a long time, we also need to control a machinery factory. Sidon heavy machinery is the closest to us, so we must capture it and try to recruit as many former workers as possible. Wei Su, I will send the 1st Machinery Battalion to leave it to you. Can you complete the task? Wei Su was overjoyed. The 1st Mechanical Battalion is the trump card of the 910 unit and Yang Shao's heart. Now I can share it with myself and take advantage of it. Zhu Ji is quite knowledgeable. Wei Su simply gave a military salute, guaranteed to complete the mission. Zhu Ji said again, Liu Jianhua, I leave all the life-type superpowers and auxiliary superpowers to you. We must ensure the stability of our rear. Liu Jianhua said happily, yes, General Zhu. Zhu Ji looked at a strong man again. Wang Liuhu, all the planes and pilots are handed over to you. Is that okay? Unit 910 has a simple military airport, as well as a number of old-fashioned fighter jets and armed helicopters. Now it has become a valuable asset. Wang Dali was naturally very excited, guaranteed to complete the mission. Chapter 135 Bombing Mohe City. Zhu Ji quickly distributed all the benefits. Everyone got their own share of benefits, and their loyalty to Zhu Ji reached its peak. Zhu Ji felt that the atmosphere was almost over, so he stood up and waved. Now, I will personally direct the rescue mission of Mohe City. Everyone looked at Zhu Ji. This matter was a troublesome matter, and wanted to see if he had any good ideas. The military's original plan was to rely on Yang Shao's superpowers to rescue people on a large scale, and his superpowers were very suitable. Now that Yang Shao's is dead, what should we do? You can't send all your brothers in, right? Even if you have no choice but to oppose it, you must oppose it, otherwise there will definitely be heavy casualties. Zhu Ji said confidently, Mohe City is too big. We can't even get out if we go in. So, let's let the survivors come out on their own. The officers suddenly breathed a sigh of relief, but they were curious. How did the survivors come out? Wei Su said worriedly, we are 35 kilometers away from the center of the Demon Sea. It is difficult for ordinary survivors to walk this far in the dense forest, even for most people with superpowers. Zhu Ji showed a confident smile. Bomb Mohe City. Everyone was shocked. This is too crazy, Liu Jianhua said anxiously. Bombing Mohe City to force the survivors out? No. This will ruin our reputation. Even if the survivors get here, they will be extremely hostile to us. Zhu Ji laughed loudly. Of course it's not a purposeless bombing. I saw the underground arms warehouse of the 910 unit, and there were a lot of artillery shells, so we can use our artillery fire to blast a way out for the survivors in the dense forest. Let's choose a few main roads and use our artillery fire stretch all the way and clear out all the woods on these main roads. Of course, the specific implementation, such as how wide the roads should be blown up, and which roads should be cleared to rescue the most survivors, these require the help of experts like you. I am just a rough guy and I don't understand military matters. Everyone thought this idea was crazy, but after thinking about it, it seems to make some sense. It seems feasible. Mutated animals are also animals. Animals along the way will definitely be scared away by the gunfire, leaving a window of time for survivors to escape. Yes. Taking the 155 gun as an example, one shot can cause a damage radius of 50 meters. Even in a dense forest, it can clear a radius of at least 20 meters. If we open up a road 100 meters wide and 40 kilometers long, it will be no more than consume 4,000 rounds of artillery shells, only. 4,000 rounds? This consumption is too little. More than 4,000 rounds. Mohe City is so big. I think it will take 5-10 roads to be cleared, which will consume 20,040,000 rounds of artillery shells. But it's not too much? We have 500,000 rounds of artillery shells in the arsenal, eh? Lot of the artillery shells in the arsenal are old models, right? It doesn't matter. It's about blowing up forests, not tanks. No matter how old the model is, it's enough. We don't have professional artillery. Can we shoot accurately? Nonsense. If you can't hit fixed targets accurately, you are still a shit soldier. If you are worried, just let me do it. Shooting tens of thousands of artillery shells in one go, it feels good just thinking about it. Ha. In order to avoid accidentally injuring survivors, we'd better choose the main road. In addition, we should scatter leaflets in advance and use radio broadcasts to notify all survivors as much as possible. Well, it's definitely impossible to completely avoid accidental injuries. In the past, grassroots manpower could be used to mobilize and clear the area, but in this day and age, well, there's nothing we can do about it, all. The officers discussed it and quickly determined that this seemingly crude method was actually very feasible. The military's losses were very small, only tens of thousands of artillery shells. You have to be reckless like Zhu Ji. The former academic Yang Shadows knew obey orders, be patient every day, and he was so patient, Zhu Ji gave a perfect plan as soon as he appeared on the stage. Everyone gained confidence in him and his authority was slowly established in everyone's discussion. The final plan was quickly formed, which was very simple. 1. First, use various methods to notify the survivors so that they can avoid the bombing area and prepare to escape. 2. Continue bombing for 24 hours to clear escape routes. 3. After the bombing, the helicopter and the elite team set off immediately, setting up guidance points and supply points along the way. 4. For survivors to escape, the escape time window is about 7 days. If the time is longer, the mutated animals may come back and cause a large number of casualties. 5. After 7 days, everyone evacuates the guidance point and supply point, and the mission ends following Zhu Ji's order. The military camp became noisy after a long silence. Zhu Ji watched the officers lead the team away and go to perform their tasks. With a sneer on his lips, Zhu Hao and several confidants gathered around Zhu Ji. Zhu Hao said dissatisfiedly, "Second brother, why did you give so many troops to outsiders?" Zhu Ji sneered, "I just got a command, so I can't be in a hurry. Don't worry, let them have fun first. Sooner or later, Troop 910 will have the surname Zhu." Several people in the Zhu family laughed sinisterly. Zhu Jiaming said excitedly, "Ha ha ha. It must be our second uncle who is very cunning." Zhu Ji rolled his eyes. "Mad, you ignorant fool," one person cursed. "Shabby, if you can't speak, don't speak. That's called strategizing. Yes. Make plans. Make plans." Ha ha ha. Zhu Ji looked up at the red mist, his blood boiling in his heart for others. "Troubled times are disasters for me. It's like a fish in water. The end of the world, where all living beings are ups and downs, is my grand stage. I want to start from here and reach the top of the world step by step." Everyone in the Zhu family looked at the high-spirited Zhu Ji and seemed to see the rise of a dynasty. Our Zhu family is really lucky to have Zhu Ji. Jiang Fan returned home with Suzai Omei in his arms. The girls were already numb. "Yes, I have another sister. Look at Suzai Omei again. She is very beautiful, and she also has a pair of unique little tiger teeth. So cute." The woman was moved when she saw it. The girls couldn't help but admire them. It was chaos outside, and they didn't know where Jiang Fan found so many beauties. Does he have the power to find beautiful women? Tian Bian was thinking wildly when Bai Hu saw so many superpowers. The hair on his body stood up immediately afterwards. The huge white eyes came over and sniffed the white fox curiously. The white fox immediately bared its teeth and roared in warning. "Roar!" Bai Ian jumped to the ground in a daze, tilting his head to look at the white fox. "Woof! Woof! Come and play." The white fox was too lazy to pay attention to it and lay comfortably in Suzai Omei's arms. Suzai Omei was very surprised. Why are there so many beautiful sisters here? Jiang Fan said calmly. Oh, you will be sisters from now on, huh? Suzaomi said in shock. It's all yours. Yet. Jiang Fan responded casually and said quickly, we can't stay here anymore. There are monsters outside. We have to leave immediately, now. Is not the time for small talk. The girls became nervous. What monster? Jiang Fan didn't hide it either. A kind of tentacle monster that looks like an octopus. I estimate there are tens of thousands of them. So much, thousands of them. Gu Linying, who had seen the tentacle monster, was frightened. She thought about the basketball gym again and trembled all over. The girls also heard Gu Linying describe it, and they all turned pale with fright. But now that I know it in advance, it's not difficult to avoid it anyway. Jiang Fan has a portal, so everyone can escape quickly. The girls slowly calmed down. Tang Zurao asked worriedly, Brother Jiang, where are we going? If you are listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means it was downloaded and re-uploaded without effort. We warmly invite you to visit our channel, Fanfic World. There you will find the original version of this story and many other novels of various genres. We look forward to seeing you dive into a world of incredible novels. Chapter 136 The Giant Green Eye in Subspace. Jiang Fan pondered for a moment and said, go to the Demon Sea Pearl first, and then we'll see what happens. He was wondering whether he should go to the TV station base or go directly to the army station outside Mohe City. Jiang Fan has not yet made a final decision anyway. I want to go to a crowded place in this way. When the tentacle monster comes, there will be enough human shield to facilitate his escape. Do you want to take Li Qingquan with you? He hesitated. Now that Jiang Bangsha is here, Li Qingquan's value has dropped a lot. However, Jiang Bangsha is just a medical student, studying Western medicine in the current environment. He is definitely not as good as an old Chinese doctor. Just bring it with you. Jiang Fan asked the women to prepare their luggage and walked across the floor to Li Qingquan's home. Li Qingquan was still studying a mutated grass, raised his head and asked curiously, Mr. Jiang, is there something wrong? Jiang Fan did not delay, as a large number of tentacle monsters might arrive at a wealth center at any time, so he quickly said, Dr. Li, I'm leaving. Do you want to come with me? Li Qingquan was surprised. What happened? Jiang Fan didn't hide it from him. A very powerful tentacle monster has mutated from the Jingxiu River. There are tens of thousands of them. The Demon Sea Film and Television Academy has been occupied by the tentacle monster. I plan to avoid it. Li Qingquan is a smart man and knows that there is no need for Jiang Fan to lie to him. Even Jiang Fan had to avoid the monster. How could he dare to stay here? Li Qingquan stood up without saying anything. Okay. As long as Mr. Jiang is willing to take me, then I will leave. Jiang Fan nodded. You pack up and go to the 32nd floor to wait for me. I'll be right back. Good. Jiang Fan flew to the top of Building B, and then went down the stairs to the 33rd floor. There are fewer survivors here, only a few dozen left. Everyone has a sallow complexion and a haggard look. Now they are all concentrated on the top 33rd floor. The monster that travels through sewers and attacks humans through toilets also appeared here and killed 2 people. Everyone was so frightened that they hid on the top floor. Apart from digging for shit-flavored shepherd's purses to eat, they hardly dared to go downstairs, and no one dared to go near the toilet. When everyone saw the healthy Jiang Fan, they hid in the corner with surprise and fear, watching him silently. Jiang Fan looked at everyone and said calmly, a kind of monster crawled out of the river and is heading towards the wealth center. If you can, run, but if you can't, when you encounter a monster, it's best to commit suicide, or at least die more comfortably. This is my final advice to you. After Jiang Fan finished speaking, he turned around and walked up the stairs, flying to Block A where no one could see him. Jiang Fan doesn't really like to show his powers in front of other people if it's not necessary. Everyone was stunned and suddenly panicked. Are monsters real? Who is he? Is he the clerk at the convenience store outside the community? His name seems to be Jiang Fan, so he is Jiang Fan. Why is he not thin at all? He has so much to eat. He's the one who provides food and shelter. Stop talking about Jiang Fan. The monster is coming soon. Monsters shouldn't be able to get up such a high building. Run. No. I don't believe it. Jiang Fan must be lying to us. Jiang Fan notified the survivors in Block A again. It was his last act of kindness as a human being. When aliens come to the moon, the future of mankind will be unimaginably tragic. Therefore, if there is no conflict, Jiang Fan is willing to save some people, which may be useful in the future. Of course, It's just convenient if it requires him to do something extra or pay some price. Then forget it. Jiang Fan notified the survivors in Block A and then flew home. Li Qingquan has reached the 32nd floor. The girls are also ready. Let's go. Jiang Fan opened the blue portal. At this moment, Jiang Fan felt something was wrong. The teleportation that could be easily drawn in the past seems to have stagnated a lot. Hey, what's going on? Wait a minute, I'll go in and take a look. Jiang Fan frowned and walked into the subspace. Except for the light all around, there is still nothingness and darkness all around, but there seems to be violent power in the void. The blue portal seemed to be impacted by some kind of force. The blue water surface that used to be stable was now ripples rapidly. Jiang Fan was surprised at this moment. A bright green light suddenly appeared in the infinite distance of the empty subspace. No, it's not a green light, it's a huge, weird eye. It looked like a huge wooden lump, staring at Jiang Fan from a distance. The blue portal was violently turbulent. Immediately afterwards, a loud voice sounded in Jiang Fan's soul. Yen yen at? Jiang Fan felt his head buzz, and then his mouth felt sweet, and nosebleeds flowed out. FK. What the hell? His heart was beating wildly, and he immediately escaped from the subspace and closed the blue portal. At the same time, the green eyes disappeared. The girls were shocked when they saw Jiang Fan jumping out with a pale face. Brother Jiang, what's wrong? Jiang Fan's ears were still suffering from severe tinnitus. He wiped away a nosebleed with difficulty and said solemnly, "This is troublesome. The portal is temporarily unavailable. By the way, Tian, don't open the door recently. There's a very powerful guy inside. With his own physique and willpower, he couldn't stand the opponent's glance. Tian would definitely be killed instantly if he entered. Ah, there are monsters in there too." Tian was confused. The girls panicked. Jiang Fan also looked ugly. He couldn't use the portal, but he could still leave underground. What should women do? At this moment, a rumbling sound came from the sky. Everyone looked up and looked out, and there were actually 3 armed helicopters. At the same time, 2 fighter jets roared past in the sky, seemingly escorting the armed helicopter. The army took action. The army that has been pretending to be a BD for so long suddenly takes action. Jiang Fan was surprised. Why? Now, the red mist has risen to the 23rd floor. Countless heads of people protruded from the windows of several surrounding buildings above the 24th floor, looking excitedly at the military planes in the sky. In the eyes of countless people, the armed helicopter flew over. As it flew, it also scattered red leaflets, and at the same time used the deafening loudspeaker to broadcast to the bottom. Citizens, Unit 910 is about to launch a rescue plan for Mohe City. The plan is as follows. 1. Starting from 8 a.m. the day after tomorrow, we will carry out 24-hour bombing on Binhe Road, Haping Road, Jinjiang Road, and survivors are asked to avoid this area. 2. The bombing will clear out 8 survival passages 20 to 100 meters wide and 30-50 kilometers long. Unit 910 will arrange temporary supply points and guidance points in the survival passages, 1 every 5 kilometers. 3. The 910 unit will maintain the survival channel for 7 days. During this period, national survivors are requested to pass through the channel as soon as possible and go to the 910 station to obtain shelter. After 4 or 7 days, all supply points will be evacuated. The armed helicopter flew slowly over, and the loudspeaker played the message repeatedly. 24-hour bombing, opening up survival channels, and evacuation of all survivors. The vast amount of information shocked everyone. The girls also have different mentalities. The army finally took action, but the method is completely different from what they thought. The army did not enter the city to rescue the people, but used artillery fire to blast out a road to allow the survivors to escape on their own. Is this reliable? Jiang Fan passed through the floor and flew to the top of the building. A few flyers were also dropped on the roof. Jiang Fan picked up 2 and returned home. The girls gathered around Jiang Fan, read it carefully, and found that it was indeed the news released by the armed helicopter, but it was more detailed. If you walk with other survivors, you will be less likely to be attacked by animals in the dense forest. Jiang Fan pondered for a moment and made a decision. Okay. Then we will wait for another day and then leave through the passage opened by the military, but before that, we have to make some preparations. Kyoto City. In a park, there is a huge banyan tree that reaches into the sky and the earth. The crown of the banyan tree reaches straight into the sky, at least several kilometers. The tree canopy covers hundreds of square kilometers, casting an unimaginable huge shadow on the ground, shrouding the entire city of Kyoto in darkness. At the same time, wherever the tree crown reaches, the space is also torn apart. Various animals grow on the banyan trees, forming a unique ecosystem. Now, The banyan tree is still growing crazily. Its huge root system emerges from the ground all the time and then penetrates into the ground. The rhizomes writhed in this oil and gravel like giant snakes, hungry for nutrients. Suddenly, a huge green wooden lump appeared on the thickest trunk of the banyan tree. At first glance, it looked like a human eye. The wooden bumps shook violently. The entire banyan tree trembled violently. Countless birds started up, like dark clouds, and howled loudly. It was as if an earthquake had occurred on the ground. Countless buildings collapsed in Kyoto, and countless survivors howled in agony. Countless roots sprouted from the ground at the same time, stretching hundreds of meters into the sky, blocking out the sky and stretching toward Mohei City. Wherever the rhizomes go, countless new banyan trees grow, and more rhizomes stretch out, and then extend towards Mohei City, extending. Chapter 137 Preparation before leaving. 3 superpower fruits for each person. Jiang Fan looked at the beautiful women in front of him and felt filled with a sense of accomplishment. The 4 daughters, Tang Zirao, Su Menqian, Hu Lili, and Bai Xinji, are all in the Wealth Center community. Su Jin and Gu Lianying were rescued from the Demon Sea Film and Television Academy. Li Qingyu and Zhang Bangsha are from the TV station based. Liu Mingyao, Tian Yan, and Su Ziaomai were rescued from outside. There are 11 women here in total. There's Zhang Zilin outside, who is still at the TV station base, including Song Shiyan and Hu Lei, whom he killed. There are a total of 14 women before the end of the world. All of them were beauties with a high rate of turning heads. Ordinary men would be very proud of themselves if they could catch one now. It's all mine. Jiang Fan raised his lips slightly. We are about to go out to the 910 unit station. This journey is destined to be uneventful, so no matter what powers you have now, I will give each of you 3 power fruits. A physical strengthening fruit to enhance your physical strength. A fruit of perception to help you identify friends and foes. A fruit of wall penetration for emergency escape. The girls were extremely surprised. Su Ziaomai, who had just joined, was dumbfounded. Is the superpower fruit so worthless? Li Qingyu said with emotion. How could it not be valuable? I used to work in the underground base of a TV station. There were more than 5,000 survivors there at its peak, and there were only 2-3 superpower fruits in the warehouse all year round. If you want to apply for these fruits, you have to make a life-threatening commitment to the base. It's all about the credit, Tang Zirao said proudly. It's not that the superpower fruit is worthless, it's just that it's worthless to Brother Jiang. Su Ziaomai opened her mouth in surprise. A base of 5,000 people only has 2 to 3 pills, so Jiang Fan has to give away dozens of pills at once. Where did he get so many superpower fruits? Su Ziaomai looked at the other women, wanting to see what they had to say. The girls who had followed Jiang Fan for a long time all looked proud. Even Zhang Bangsha and Li Qingyu, who came last, had expressions of admiration on their faces. It is a fact that Jiang Fan has a large number of superpowers in his hands. No matter how he got it, it is an ability. Just like in peaceful times, women don't care how the rich get their money, as long as he's rich. Does he really have so many fruits? Su Ziaomai looked at Jiang Fan in disbelief. Jiang Fan didn't explain anything and directly took out 11 2-star physical strengthening fruits. Come on, let's eat one each first. They must be strengthened first, otherwise several women's abilities will reach the upper limit of 3 after strengthening the physique. You can better more abilities. Tang Zirao took the fruit and divided it one by one. Ling Tang Zirao consumes 1 enlightenment fruit physique strengthening and returns 1,400 fruits. It has been put into the portable space. Ling Su Menqian consumes 1 enlightenment fruit physique strengthening and returns 1,400 fruits. It has been put into the portable space. Ling Su Ziaomai consumes 1 enlightenment fruit physique strengthening and returns 1,400 fruits. It has been put into the portable space. Ling Zhang Bangsha consumes 1 enlightenment fruit, physical strengthening, and 1,400 fruits will be returned. It has been put into the portable space. Except for Hu Lili, who had already taken 2-star physical enhancement, all the girls felt that their bodies had become stronger. Black dirty substances were discharged from their bodies, and the room also smelled bad. Hu Lili took a 2-star physical enhancement pill but did not upgrade. She was a little unhappy, but she had nothing to say. 1 for each girl. Jiang Fan divided it fairly. Oh, it stinks. I want to take a shower. Wow. I can hold the refrigerator. I'm a Superman. The girls laughed and laughed. Su Ziaomai ate the superpower fruit for the first time and looked at her hands in confusion. It turns out that this is the function of supernatural powers. It's so amazing. Jiang Fan glanced at her and saw that it was an ordinary green ginger. Nothing special. He clapped his hands. I'll wash it later. Let's continue now. Jiang Fan took out 11 more perception fruits. Most women are sentient, but a few are not. Jiang Fan simply took 1 pill per person, simple and hassle-free. You can also replenish your own inventory. Su Menqian took over the task of distributing the fruit this time and divided it among the girls, making Tang Zurao roll her eyes. Ling. Tang Zurao consumes 1 enlightenment fruit, perception, and returns 1,400. It has been put into the portable space. Ling. Hu Lily consumes 1 enlightenment fruit, perception, and returns 1,400. It has been put into the portable space. Ling. Su Xiaomai consumes 1 enlightenment fruit, perception, and 1,400 fruits will be returned. It has been put into the portable space. Ling. Jiang Bangshi consumes 1 enlightenment fruit, perception, and 1,400 fruits will be returned. It has been put into the portable space. The girls ate the fruit of perception again. This time there was a surprise. Tang Zurao's perception was already 2 stars. After eating the new perception fruit, she said in surprise, "Huh? I seem to be able to see further. I can see 3 or 4 nearby rooms. I can also see light groups inside your bodies." Jiang Fan was surprised. This is the ability of 3-star perception. From a distance of 15 meters, you can also see the energy gathering points in the body. Tang Zurao was the first to reach 2-star perception, and now she is the first to reach 3-star perception. She only ate a few fruits of perception, and already she was promoted to 3 stars. Is she particularly suitable for sensing powers? Jiang Fan remembered that he was particularly suitable for the will type, and he had a clear understanding in his heart. It seems that each woman can develop different abilities, which will bring the greatest benefits. The girls were filled with envy, jealousy, and hatred. Again, no one has upgraded once, but Tang Zurao has upgraded twice. The ability to see 3 or 4 rooms is very useful when you think about it. This is simply a magical skill. In the last days, the girls secretly thought, "I must serve Brother Jiang better and strive for more fruits of perception." Su Menqian was so angry that she gritted her teeth. "I will go to Brother Jiang's room tonight. And I also want to upgrade my abilities." At the same time, the girls also had a vague feeling about Jiang Fan's power. Tang Zurao upgraded twice and was able to sense that far away Brother Jiang eats superpower fruits as snacks every day. How powerful will his perception be? How powerful are his other abilities? The girls were both shocked and happy. Only by following such a powerful man can we achieve better things in the last days. Moreover, Brother Jiang is not stingy with us at all. He wholesales all the superpowers fruits that are worth thousands of gold to us. Our choice is right. The girls' loyalty to Jiang Fan has reached a new height. Even Su Xiaomai, who just joined, has a special feeling for Jiang Fan. No matter in peaceful times or the end of the world, capable men always make women's hearts flutter. Jiang Fan thought, "I can't give Tang Zurao the perception fruit for the time being. If I eat it a few more times, her perception ability star level may surpass mine. If there are special effects that I don't know about, it will be dangerous." The premise for Jiang Fan to give women superpowers is that he can control her, and he will never allow a woman to be stronger than him. Now is the end of the world, when you can suppress everything. Women are very honest when you can't do it yourself. Who knows if these women will have any thoughts that they shouldn't have. Even though Jiang Fan is pretty good to women, in fact he has always been extremely calm in his heart. He will remember his ex-girlfriend Song Shiding's ruthlessness for the rest of his life. Once a woman becomes ruthless, she is also extremely cold-blooded. He won't give any woman a chance to be ruthless. Jiang Fan didn't say anything, and handed out the 3rd batch of virtualization fruits with a smile. Chapter 138 Modified Off-Road Vehicle. The hollow fruit can give 11 women the ability to walk through walls, which is a life-saving trick. Jiang Fan said calmly, "Tang Zurao, Su Menqian, you are responsible for teaching everyone how to pass through the wall. However, I want to remind all of you that your physique is very low. Even if you eat the constitution fruit, you are still ordinary, and passing through the wall consumes a lot of physical strength. So, unless don't use this ability unless there is an unavoidable danger, and after using it, if someone sees it, it's best to kill the witness. Walking through walls is our trump card, and being known to others will be a huge threat to us." Tang Zurao and Su Menqian, go and teach everyone. The 2 girls nodded and began to explain to the girls how to use their abilities. Tang Zurao explained and instructed, "You heard what Brother Jiang said. You must remember that if there are witnesses, you must not be lenient, otherwise there will be endless troubles. This is a major matter related to the safety of all of us. If the witnesses are too powerful and you can't deal with them, then that's okay. You have to write it down and tell Brother Jiang. Brother Jiang will definitely have a solution." Jiang Fan nodded with satisfaction. This girl Tang Zurao is really becoming more and more sensible. Jiang Fan knew that Tang Zurao was actively fighting for the throne of master of the harem, and had conflicts with several women because of this, but it doesn't matter as long as it doesn't affect his enjoyment of life, as there are more and more women. Jiang Fan also hopes that someone can manage them so that he can be more worry-free. If Tang Zhao is willing to do it, let her try it. If you can't do it well, then find another woman. If you dare to mess around behind your back, then kill him. A sharp light flashed in Jiang Fan's eyes. He smiled lightly and took out several guns and a batch of bullets from his pocket, except that the three girls, Li Kengyu, Zhang Bangsha and Su Xiaomei, have just arrived and cannot be given the greatest trust. The other women have obtained their own guns and ammunition, which will be a huge deterrent to other survivors. Anyone who sees a group of women holding guns has to think twice about it, which can reduce a lot of trouble. The girls touched the steel guns in surprise and fear, becoming more loyal in their hearts only by following Jiang Fan. Can we obtain the greatest benefits? What if we get rid of Jiang Fan and gain freedom? Is it interesting to struggle to survive outside, not eating well, not sleeping well, and worrying about being caught by other men and used as barbecue? It's great to follow Brother Jiang, eat well, wear well, sleep well, and get superpowers, fruits and weapons in addition to spending time with him every few days. To be honest, that is also a kind of happiness. Only a fool leaves Brother Jiang. At this point, the women have been fully armed. Each person has at least 3 abilities, plus a gun. If some survivors think that they are good looking and easy to bully, and they are just weak women, then they will pay a heavy price. Jiang Fan waited for the woman to calm down before saying, in addition, we also need transportation. The journey of dozens of kilometers is tiring and slow on foot, and it is also easy to be attacked by other survivors. However, even if we can walk on the ground bombarded by artillery fire, it will definitely be full of potholes. An ordinary SUV will definitely not be able to drive. Jiang Fan pondered. Otherwise, go to the underground base of the TV station. I remember there are tanks there. The roads chosen by Unit 910 are all former highways. Although it is covered with various plants, it is still flat overall. As long as the artillery fire knocks down the big trees, the tanks should be able to drive through. But just thinking about it, he knew that the riding experience in the tank was so rubbish that he didn't want to ride in it at all. Su Xiaomei raised her hands and said, I know there is a place with a large number of modified off-road vehicles, but it is a bit far away from here and it is difficult to drive back. Jiang Fan said curiously, oh? Tell me. After Su Xiaomei saw the benefits of Jiang Fan's place, she also wanted to work hard to express herself and stay. She said positively, I once worked in an off-road club called Wild Wind. That club gathered a group of rich second-generation people who liked to modify their cars to go out in the wild. The club had its own modification factory, with dozens of cars parked all year round. Modified cars. Those cars are too exaggeratedly modified to be approved for use on the road, so they park the cars at the modification shop, secretly drive them into the mountains at night, go crazy the next day, and then drive back at night. Jiang Fan suddenly became interested. If there is a reliable modified vehicle, the tank can open the road in front and clear some roadblocks, and the off-road vehicle behind can follow. Tell me the location of the Wild Wind Club. Jiang Fan turned on his phone and opened the offline map. Su Xiaomei searched for a while and pointed to a location. It's right here. It looks like a farmhouse from the outside, but inside it's actually a modification factory for those rich people. Jiang Fan looked at it and found that it was indeed very far away, with a straight line of 20 kilometers. However, if you go to the cross-country club, you will happen to pass by the TV station base. Jiang Fan thought, I just happened to drop by the TV station base and take away all the ordnance inside, especially the tanks. I have to prepare for both off-road vehicles and tanks. If the road conditions after the bombing are too bad and the off-road vehicles cannot be driven, then just drive a tank. After making up his mind, Jiang Fan was ready to head to the cross-country club immediately. There are a group of gun-wielding superpowers in the family, plus White Fox and White Eyes. Unless they encounter a large number of tentacle monsters, ordinary survivors will be unlucky when they see them, and there is no way they can take advantage of them. Jiang Fan patted Su Xiaomei on the head. I'll go take a look. If there's an off-road vehicle there, I'll reward you with a superpower fruit when I come back. Su Xiaomei was surprised. Thank you, Brother Jiang. Thank you, Brother Jiang. Jiang Fan didn't delay, walked through the floors and entered the underground. Before leaving, Jiang Fan carefully tore open the blue portal. Can it be teleported or teleported? Jiang Fan didn't want to drive a long distance at all. Who knew how much trouble he would encounter on the road? He cautiously peeked inside. The giant green eyes suddenly looked at Jiang Fan. Grass. Jiang Fan closed the portal without saying a word. He found the direction and started running quickly. Wild Wind Club Song King Day stood under a peach tree, Holding on to the ladder, Yu Xiansu stood on the ladder and carefully picked the peaches. Yu Xiansu quickly finished picking, got off the ladder, and handed a basket of peaches to Song Qingde. Song Qingde frowned and said, "Only 8? Not enough to eat, Yu Xiansu said confidently. "There are 2 for each of us, and 1 for each of the 4 of them. It's good if we can survive, but you still want to be picky? It's just a peach tree, so we have to save some food." Song Qingde didn't say anything. "There is only so much food, and it is better for others to go hungry than to go hungry yourself." The 2 returned to a room on the 2nd floor, where 4 hungry survivors looked at the 2 expectantly. Seeing that each person only had 1 peach, everyone showed a disappointed expression, but no one dared to say anything because Song Qingde and Yu Xiansu are superpowers. They only survived because of their protection. Yu Xiansu yelled, "Hurry up and go to work after you're full. Hoe all the grass at the door, and the ivy on the window. Didn't you see that it has climbed so high? Don't you know that thing can suck blood? Hurry up and go to work, full." How could 1 peach be enough? The 4 of them were very dissatisfied, but they could only eat it quickly and dragged their tired bodies to work. Only Song Qingde and Yu Xiansu were left in the room. Yu Xiansu glanced at Song Qingde from time to time. Song Qingde is the boss of Wildwind and a real Bifumi. Her father runs a hotel chain and has a family fortune of at least 1 billion. Song Qingde opened this club purely for her own enjoyment and had no intention of making any money. Yu Xiansu is just the manager of this store, actually a wage earner. In the past, he knew that their identities were very different, so he did not dare to take a look at Song Qingde. It's different now. The end of the world is coming. He and Song Qingde are the only 2 superpowers here. Yu Xiansu was full of confidence. Song Qingde certainly guessed what Yu Xiansu was thinking, but she didn't like this man at all, and she never showed it. She took out a red flyer from her pocket and said doubtfully, "Manager Yu, do you think this is true? Should we go to the 910 unit? Chapter 139. I must be fair to all women." Yu Xiansu shook his head. "Of course not. Who knows what is going on over there? These are troubled times. Can you believe those soldiers? They actually didn't go into the city to save us, and let us go by ourselves. The leader of the army has selfish motives at first sight. I don't want to go. I would rather be the head of a chicken than the queen of a cow." Song Qingde was very hesitant. "She has been trapped here for a long time. I can only eat some broken peaches every day. What kind of bullshit is this?" She had been well dressed and well fed since she was a child, and she had never suffered such a crime. Moreover, she also wants to find her parents. "My father, who has great supernatural powers, must still be alive." Yu Xiansu saw Song Qingde's expression and secretly became anxious. He didn't know the situation outside, but if he went to a large settlement, how could Song Qingde still have her share? They can get 2 superpower fruits, and there must be people outside who can get superpower fruits. Yu Xiansu didn't have the confidence to compete with other superpowers for Song Qingde. He said anxiously, "Why are you going out? It's so nice to stay here. I won't even mention the dangers along the way. Even if you get to the settlement, Qingde, you have to know that you are a beautiful woman. Now that the war is in chaos, will others?" Aroused by SX, Song Qingde was silent. This is what she was worried about, but she was still very dissatisfied. "Manager Yu, it's not you who called Qingde." Yu Xiansu's face darkened and he watched Song Qingde go out. Song Qingde stood at the door of the factory. The 4 survivors were hoeing weeds. She turned to look at the outer wall of the factory building again. The outer wall is astonishingly thick, reaching almost 1 meter. The original concrete wall is tightly covered with a thick layer of soil and sand. This is her ability to control earth and stone to form a fixed shape. After Song Qingde obtained the superpower, she has been reinforcing the outer wall of the factory to prevent animals from outside from rushing in at night. She looked at the deep claw marks on the wall, the deepest of which even reached the concrete, and felt increasingly uneasy. Recently, mutated animals nearby have been moving more and more frequently, and the chance of attacking the factory has also increased. Song Qingde repairs the walls almost every day. She frowned and walked around the factory, and found another claw mark, which seemed to come from a different animal. The size of the claw can be inferred from the scratch marks. The size of this claw is very terrifying, reaching an astonishing half a meter in width. Song Qingde's scalp was numb. She looked at the red mist around her, her heart beating faster, and she felt that there were terrifying monsters hidden in the gloomy red mist. If she hadn't known that there was a warning circle with supernatural powers arranged by Yu Xiansu around her, she wouldn't have dared to come out 2 meters away from the outer wall of the factory building. There is a deep pit 2 meters wide and several meters deep. This is where Song Qingde collected soil, Forming a disguised moat, Song Qingde held her breath and concentrated. Pointing to the deep pit, a magical scene appeared. The oil and stones were sucked up like a water dragon. She then pointed to the scratches on the outer wall. Mud and stones flew over and stuck to the wall, completely repairing the scratches. 10 seconds later, Song Qingde completed her work. She took a deep breath, returned to the main entrance, and repaired another scratch before returning to the factory to rest. Jiang Fan ran underground for more than an hour and arrived at the edge of the TV station base. He did not rise to the ground, but entered the base directly from the underground. When I came here this time, the number of people in the base was obviously much smaller. A large number of facilities were damaged and many light bulbs went out. They have not been repaired yet. It seems that the last rebellion caused huge losses to the base. Jiang Fan quickly found Zhang Zilin. She was in an office, discussing something with a few people. Zhang Zilin sat and several others stood. It seems that this woman has climbed to a high position in the base. Jiang Fan was not in a hurry and waited until several people had finished discussing and left. Zhang Zilin was the only one left in the office. Jiang Fan walked through the wall, walked into the office, and locked the door directly. Zhang Zilin was startled, and after seeing clearly that it was Jiang Fan, she said helplessly, "Can you go through the front door? I like to go through the back door." Jiang Fan said in a meaningful way. Zhang Zilin's face turned red, and she pretended to be angry. "Hey, can you speak properly?" Jiang Fan said with a bad smile. "Look, you are thinking wrong. I didn't expect you know a lot." Zhang Zilin paused for a moment, feeling annoyed and embarrassed. "Okay. Let's get down to business. What are you doing here this time?" Jiang Fan laughed. "I'll give you some superpower fruit. I always treat all women equally. If other women have it, you should have it too." Other women. Zhang Zilin was so angry that her teeth itched and her fists clenched. "Do you want to fight?" Jiang Fan was not afraid at all. After his comprehensive physical fitness increased to 200 plus, he was able to roll Zhang Zilin into a ball and flatten her at will. He took out 3 fruits of enlightenment. "Here, I'll reward you." Zhang Zilin didn't have time to get angry and said in surprise, "Give it to me." "Of course." Jiang Fan said calmly. Zhang Zilin picked up 3 black lychees and looked at them carefully. They were indeed superpowers. She said tentatively, "I really ate it." "Eat, eat." Jiang Fan waved his hand casually. "HMPH. I don't know what you are doing." Zhang Zilin secretly rejoiced and simply ate it. After a while, she said in surprise, "My physical strength seems to have become stronger." Jiang Fan nodded. 3 fruits, 1 for physical strengthening and strengthening your body, 1 for your perception. If you eat more, your powers may be upgraded, but judging from your appearance, you probably haven't. There is also 1 that can pass through walls. It can penetrate through walls and into the ground. Zhang Zilin was shocked. "You gave me this kind of superpower? Aren't you afraid that I might do something bad to you?" Jiang Fan looked at Zhang Zilin with a smile. She was radiating pure green light. "I trust you." Zhang Zilin's heart beat several times quickly, and she lowered her head and swept her hair behind her ears in a disguised manner. Glib tongue, she didn't dare to continue and quickly changed the topic. "Have you seen the flyer from Unit 910? I plan to take the people here there. Will you go?" "Of course." Jiang Fan nodded, thought for a moment and reminded her, "There is a kind of monster crawling out of the Jingxiu River. It is very powerful and very numerous. When you choose a path, it is best to avoid the river. The farther away, the better." "There is such a thing." Zhang Zilin immediately believed Jiang Fan's words and said seriously, "Can I report this news to Unit 910 and notify all survivors?" Jiang Fan said indifferently, "It's up to you. But I guess Unit 910 won't believe it, anyway, as long as it doesn't affect you." Jiang Fan stood up. "Let's go. By the way, you are all leaving anyway, so it's not too much for me to take something from your base, right?" Zhang Zilin was surprised. "What?" Jiang Fan smiled and said, "You'll know in a minute." Zhang Zilin was confused. Jiang Fan sank into the ground and disappeared. Zhang Zilin bit her red lips and looked at the place where Jiang Fan left, without moving for a long time. Suddenly, the ground shook. A violent explosion sounded. Boom. Zhang Zilin was startled, and the entire base was alarmed and immediately became confused. "What happened?" "Somewhere exploded. Go and have a look. It looks like a heavy armory." "Found it. It's a heavy armory that stores tanks and armored vehicles. I don't know what caused the explosion. Maybe it was expired ammunition. Anyway, the entire heavy armory collapsed. Fortunately, it's not an ammunition depot. The tank can't be driven out anyway. It will collapse if it collapses." Zhang Zilin stood speechlessly in front of the heavy armory, looking at the tunnel blocked by huge rocks, her teeth itching with anger. It must have been that brat who did it. What did you take from it? You can't just steal a tank and run away, right? Jiang Fan happily ran quickly underground and ran towards the Wild Wind Club. Certainly not a tank, but everything. There are 20 tanks, 20 armored vehicles, and a lot of fuel. They were evacuating tomorrow anyway, so there was no time to clean up. No one except Zhang Zilin knew that all the tanks and armored vehicles inside had been taken away by him. Chapter 146 Star Perception. It should be nearby. Jiang Fan stood on the roof of a bell tower, looking at the map on his phone carefully, trying hard to compare it with the vast red mist below. This clock tower is a landmark building near Wild Wind during the Red Fog era. Plants almost completely covered the road surface. When traveling long distances in the city, you can only rely on landmark buildings to identify your direction. Jiang Fan put his cell phone into his pocket. Running for a long distance underground was really suffocating. Jiang Fan could only breathe, but it was not very smooth, so he didn't want to go down to the ground again. He looked in the direction of the building opposite. Gravity twist. His body felt light and airy at the same time. His legs suddenly exerted force, and the powerful strength of 200 constitution burst out. Boom. A few seconds later, Jiang Fan's body crossed a parabola and landed on the roof of a building hundreds of meters away. The roof of the building was covered with fallen leaves, and a colorful poisonous snake slithered quietly under the leaves, staring intently at Jiang Fan. Poof! Before the poisonous snake could move its mouth, a shovel appeared out of thin air and cut off the snake's head. Jiang Fan looked down calmly. Blood oozes from under the fallen leaves. In his perception, any ambush. His funny perception is the magic weapon to survive in the red mist and dense forest. So far, Jiang Fan has only seen that Batman be able to blind his perception to a certain extent, but it has to be a long distance. Once he got close, Batman couldn't escape his perception. Jiang Fan checked the roof of the building. There are no other threatening animals. There were also a few survivors in the room downstairs, but they were all ordinary people and seemed to be dying of hunger. Jiang Fan decided to take a rest. No matter how strong his physique was, running 20 kilometers underground in one breath was still a bit tiring. He took out a bottle of pure water and drank it, then took out a handful of enlightenment fruit and a few mutated frog roasts and ate them. At this time, a surprise suddenly appeared. Ling. Perception upgraded to 6 stars. Jiang Fan was overjoyed. I don't know how many fruits of perception I have eaten, and now I have finally upgraded. He immediately checked the effect of 6-star perception. Perception. 6 stars, you can see how friendly the target is to you. Yellow represents neutrality, red represents hostility, and green represents friendliness. The brightness of the light indicates the strength of the target. You can sense the energy gathering points in the target's body. You can perceive inanimate objects. You can hear sounds within the perception range. The perception range radius is 200 meters. The radius doubled to an astonishing 200 meters. You can still hear the sound. This is a huge change. Jiang Fan immediately started testing. Then he discovered that the 6-star perception did not hear all sounds within 200 meters without distinction, but when he focused on a certain animal, the animal's sound would automatically amplify in the pipe. A big cockroach was eating its prey in the sky. A mutant dragonfly flew by, making an inaudible buzzing sound in the room downstairs. The dying man was giving his last words. Xia, I'm leaving. I can't take care of you anymore. With sound, the world of perception suddenly becomes much richer. Coupled with the expansion of the range from 100 meters to 200 meters, Jiang Fan's field of view area has been expanded by 4 times. Jiang Fan feels comfortable both physically and mentally. Perception is finally 6 stars. When can other abilities be upgraded? Jiang Fan looked at the panel greedily. Now, he has many abilities and abilities. Perception. 6 stars, physique enhancement. 6 stars, comprehensive physique plus 200. Virtualization. 5 stars, you can virtualize your body and travel between solid and liquid states. The greater the density of the solid, the greater the energy consumption. You can barely breathe in solids and liquids. Subspace shuttle. 9 stars, full level, cannot be upgraded. You can open a subspace channel and go to any location within 5,000 meters, up to 12 times a day. You can create subspace anchors, with no range restrictions, every day up to 3 times. Up to 3 anchor points can be maintained at the same time. You can set the landing point on the subspace anchor point regardless of distance. You can attach the subspace anchor point to any object. Will link. 9 stars, full level, cannot be upgraded. You can establish a will link with the creatures within the field of vision and communicate in consciousness. The distance is 500 kilometers, the upper limit of simultaneous will links. 100. You can use will establish a consciousness space and draw all linkers into it for communication. The upper limit of the consciousness space that can exist at the same time is 10. You can forcefully pull the target into the consciousness space. The success rate and duration depend on the will gap between you and the other party. You can create an illusion in the target's consciousness. The success rate and duration of the illusion depend on the will gap between you and the other party. Will plus 50. Key and blood burst. 3 stars. You consume a lot of physical energy, and there is a short burst of ki and blood, which improves the overall physical fitness by 100% minus 500%. The more the improvement, the more physical energy is consumed. Life stimulation. 2 stars. You can consume the target's future vitality and quickly heal its current injuries. Treatment loss ratio equals 100. Condensed water. 4 stars. You can extract water from the surroundings and condense it into water. The condensation distance is 5 meters. You can consume more physical strength to increase the condensation speed. Quenching chain. 2 stars. You can extract essence from metal. Light of the soul. 9 stars. You can see the number of the target's abilities, and have a certain chance to roughly perceive the effects of the abilities. The success rate depends on the will gap between you and the opponent. You can send out mental shocks to attack the opponent's consciousness. The effect depending on the will gap between you and the opponent. A failed attack will suffer backlash. If the enemy's will is lower than yours, you will be immune to all the opponent's will attacks. Will plus 60. Flexibility. 1 star. The flexibility of the muscles and bones of the whole body is increased by 100%. Gravity distortion. 3 stars. You can distort the size and direction of gravity at will. It is only effective for metal objects you touch. Weapon of will. 5 stars. You can spend energy to condense an indestructible weapon of will in your body, which must be condensed to a certain extent before it can be taken out. When the weapon of will is taken out, you can incorporate various materials to strengthen its attributes. When someone with abilities around you dies, you can swallow their will fragments to speed up the chain condensation speed of your will weapon. Will plus 15. Plant growth. 1 star. You can accelerate plant growth. 14 abilities in total. Jiang Fan raised the corners of his mouth slightly. The number of powers I have can definitely rank among the top 10 in the world, or even number 1. If I can upgrade all these powers to 9 stars, I should be able to have a chance to meet that mysterious man on the moon, but this is too difficult. In addition to willpower, Jiang Fan is sure to quickly rise to 9 stars. Other power upgrades can only be done by chance. Next, give priority to eating the will weapon fruit, and first upgrade this ability to 9 stars. Jiang Fan became familiar with the effects of 6-star perception and was almost rested, so he jumped towards the wild wind. Chapter 141. 2 superpowers. After a while, Jiang Fan came outside a farmhouse. The entire farmhouse is covered in vegetation. Only on the ground can you vaguely see outdoor tables and barbecue grills. Jiang Fan walked in. Behind the farmhouse is a tall factory building. A strange-looking insect suddenly bit Jiang Fan's calf, but its claws passed through the calf and missed. The insects had difficulty understanding what was happening, and instinctively returned to the fallen leaves to continue lurking. Jiang Fan was too lazy to pay attention to these insects and continued to move forward in the visual field of perception. Everywhere you go are these inconspicuous bugs, of all shapes and sizes. And you can't kill them all. Jiang Fan wouldn't care too much about mutant animals as long as they weren't particularly powerful or had special abilities. As he got closer and closer to the factory, he saw the survivors in the factory. There are only 6 people in total. And there are actually 2 people with superpowers. It is normal for people with superpowers, but it is difficult for the small group to survive without superpowers. But there are 2 superpowers among 6 people. This ratio is too high. 6 people gathered in several rooms in the deepest part of the factory. The other end of the factory building is connected to an indoor parking lot, where dozens of modified cars are parked. Jiang Fan was secretly happy and sank into the ground, prepared to steal the car. He was just here to get the car and didn't want to get into trouble. Jiang Fan walked to the underground of the parking lot and rose quietly. He noticed that the thickness of the wall was astonishing. And it must be a kind of supernatural power. Yu Xiansu and Song Qingdai are inspecting a portable diesel generator. This diesel generator is in the form of a suitcase and can be pushed away by one person. This is a toy that a rich second generation got to play in the wild. Now it has become a precious source of electrical energy for several people. Song Qingdai was wearing work clothes, her long hair tied into a neat ponytail, and she was holding a tool for inspection. She is different from other girls. She has loved machinery since she was a child, which is why she opened such a modification factory. Huh? Yu Xiansu suddenly raised his head and said seriously, Someone's coming in. He looked in the direction of the parking lot, looking through the walls, and clearly saw a man strolling in the parking lot. Not knowing what he was doing, the man's body was covered with an extremely tiny invisible dust, and his position and movements were completely exposed to Yu Xianzu's eyes. This is Yu Xianzu's ability. He can distribute this invisible dust around, and any animal passing by will be discovered by him. Yu Xianzu picked up the modified air nail gun. I'll deal with it, okay, be careful. Even so, Song Qingdai was not nervous. Yu Xianzu's ability is invincible in the red mist. He can hide and observe the opponent from more than 10 meters away, but the opponent cannot see Yu Xianzu, which means he is already invincible. Coupled with the air nail gun that can shoot from a long distance, if it is an enemy, you don't know how to die. Yu Xianzu said confidently. Don't worry. I'll go take a look. If he is useful, take him. If he is useless, let him go. 4 of you, come with me. Yu Xianzu also has a brain. If he encounters someone he can't deal with, he can abandon the 4 of them and run away. For this reason, the 4 survivors he took in were all men and women in their 50s, and their physical strength was definitely not as good as that of Yu Xianzu in his prime. The 4 survivors had no intention of going. Every once in a while, a survivor will touch here. None of the survivors who have survived to this day and dare to go out are good. The 4 of them had no choice but to obey Yu Xianzu's orders. They lowered their heads, picked up various crude weapons, and followed Yu Xianzu. Yu Xianzu led the people carefully to a wall more than 10 meters away, and observed the other party from behind the wall. Strange. Why is he hanging around the car? Does he want to steal the car? Isn't this sick? There are big trees everywhere outside, and no off-road vehicle can drive. Yu Xianzu became more and more curious about the other party's purpose and began to observe carefully. Anyway, hiding behind the wall and in the red mist, the other party couldn't find him at all. Don't worry, let's see what he wants to do first. Jiang Fan sighed as he looked at the rows of modified cars in front of him. Modified Hummer, modified Wrangler, modified Big G, off-road RV, especially the modified Wrangler, which had 4 exaggeratedly large wheels and was nearly 1.5 meters tall. The off-road RV is also very exaggerated. It is a man-heavy truck RV, with a raised chassis and huge wheels. The height of the entire car is more than 5 meters. These cars themselves are valuable, and the cost of modification is probably higher than the car itself. Rich people really know how to play, and now they are all mine. Just as Jiang Fan was about to take action, he suddenly frowned and glanced at the positions of Yu Xianzu and others without leaving any trace. He was on high alert. As soon as he entered, Yu Xianzu and others moved. He discovered it finally. A supernatural being and 4 ordinary people came over. Jiang Fan seemed to have his back to the 5 people, but he could actually see their movements clearly in his perception. The superpower was hiding behind the wall, looking towards him furtively, looking straight at his position. Jiang Fan immediately confirmed, this person with superpowers didn't hear my movements, but could see me. This is his ability. Jiang Fan immediately decided that he must kill the other party first. Since the other party was monitoring him like this, he could not take away the modified car. Jiang Fan would not expose the existence of the portable space to outsiders at will. Secondly, this superpower's ability is very restrained by Jiang Fan. Jiang Fan's greatest magic weapon is that he can see other people in the red mist, but others cannot see him. This superpower can also see through the red mist, which poses a huge threat to Jiang Fan. Now that they are hostile, let's kill them. Jiang Fan looked straight at Hongwu, but deliberately looked in another direction. Come out. Why are you hiding there? Have I been discovered? Yu Xianzu was shocked at first, then secretly happy. This kid didn't look at his position at all, but looked in the wrong direction. He probably heard the noise we made. Yu Xianzu pretended to be authentic. Boy, get out of here. This is my chassis. In fact, he quietly moved out to a position where he could look directly at Jiang Fan and raise the air nail gun. At this moment, Jiang Fan suddenly moved. Blood bursts out. 500%. Ghostly maneuver. Gravity twist. His legs hit the ground hard. Boom. With a blessing of 3 levels of abilities, Jiang Fan's body rushed to Yu Xianzu as if teleporting. Before Yu Xianzu could even react, Jiang Fan's big hand grabbed his hair, and a shining silver translucent épée appeared in his other hand. Whoosh! Yu Xianzu bowed his head on the spot. The lion fights the rabbit with all his strength. Jiang Fan didn't know this man's ability, so he simply used all his strength to kill him. Chapter 142. Song Qingdai is particularly aware of current affairs. The remaining 4 people were startled, some ran away, and some waved their weapons involuntarily. Jiang Fan showed no mercy. He couldn't figure out the relationship between these survivors. Maybe they were relatives and friends, To cut the weeds, we must remove the roots and not leave any disaster behind. In the age of supernatural powers, who knows whether they will gain any powerful abilities in the future. Whoosh, the great sword of will swept across. 4 heads flew up. Plop, 4 bodies fell to the ground. Jiang Fan was also splattered with a lot of blood. But the weapon of will was still as clean as new without a trace of blood on it. Jiang Fan walked towards the last female superpower with his sword in hand. These 2 superpowers each have only one superpower. The superpower of male supernatural beings is probably monitoring the earth, and stones on the wall outside are the abilities of this female superpower combined with the ability light group seen in the light of the soul. Jiang Fan could barely recognize it. This was an auxiliary ability and did not pose much threat to him. The female superpower showed no reaction and was still repairing a machine. Snap, snap. Jiang Fan walked behind the woman with his sword in hand and saw her appearance. She has fair skin and a long ponytail. She is wearing blue overalls and gloves on her hands, which are covered in oil. She is concentrating on repairing a diesel generator. Song King Day, age 25, quality 9 points, rare engineering beauties, women's virtue 10 points, not considered human affairs, comprehensive score 9 points, Ling. Meets system requirements, she is actually a 9-point beauty. Jiang Fan didn't know her relationship with everyone outside, so he hesitated whether to kill him. Manager. It should be almost done, there's no big problem, it's just a little. Song King Day said casually, and when she turned around, she saw a strong, strange man. He was covered in blood, and he was holding an exaggerated silver sword in his hand. Ah! Song King Day screamed in fright, sat down on the ground, and said in panic, Who are you? Don't come over. Jiang Fan noticed her title and asked calmly, Who is manager? Song King Day's mind went blank and she couldn't even express her fear. That's it. Jiang Fan turned around and walked into the red mist. After a moment, he picked up 5 heads and threw them in front of her. Who is manager? Song King Day was so scared that she closed her eyes and screamed, Get it away. Get it away. Jiang Fan slapped him without hesitation. Snapped, Shut up. Song King Day immediately closed her mouth, eyes filled with tears, and looked at Jiang Fan in horror. Jiang Fan said with a cold face, I'll ask you an answer. If you say one more nonsense, I'll kill you. Song King Day nodded hurriedly. Which one is manager? This. It was the person with superpowers. How did you get here? I'm the owner of this club. What does manager have to do with you? He is just the manager I hired and is responsible for daily operations. Brother, if you have a grudge against him, just kill him. It's none of my business. He and I are just colleagues. Song King Day begged bitterly when she saw Jiang Fan kept asking about Yu Xiansu. She thought he was Yu Xiansu's former enemy who was now seeking revenge. Of course, Jiang Fan couldn't believe her words. He needed to judge based on his perception. There is some red light on Song King Day's body, but not much. Most of it is yellow light. It seems that the two are indeed not in a relationship. Where are the other survivors? I don't know them. They were all rescued by Yu Xiansu. He made them work and gave them food. There are only 6 people in total, and you still say you don't know them. Jiang Fan raised the épée. Song King Day was so frightened that she waved her hands repeatedly and said without hesitation, Really? I didn't lie to you. They are really survivors from outside. How do I know him? Brother, my dad is Song Changhe. Don't kill me. I will ask my dad to give you money. 10 million. 20 million. Tell me the number. Song Changhe. Jiang Fan has heard of this name because he once worked in a hotel. The chairman was Song Changhe, and he even met Song Changhe. I heard someone said that the big boss has an only daughter. It turned out to be Song King Day. Jiang Fan looked carefully and found that Song King Day did look a bit like Song Changhe between her eyebrows. Jiang Fan felt relieved after confirming Song King Day's identity. It can be determined that she is not related to the survivors outside. Then you can consider accepting it. Jiang Fan said casually. Are you stupid? Money has no use now. Song King Day was desperate. Besides asking her father to give her money, what else could she do to save her life? Jiang Fan asked again, Can you repair machinery? Song King Day keenly sensed the turning point and immediately said to please, Yes, I studied automation in college. Brother, don't kill me. I can repair cars and simple electrical appliances. It will be very useful if you keep me. She grew up with her businessman father and learned nothing else, but she learned thoroughly about current affairs. Song Changhe taught her since she was a child. King Day, Although your father is very famous in front of outsiders, he is nothing in front of an official. So, when you meet certain powerful people in the future, you should give in. Remember, people under the roof have to bow their heads. Song Qingde has always regarded her father as her idol and keeps his words in mind now. As long as she can survive, she can agree to anything. Besides, I also have special powers and can help you strengthen your house. I should be pretty, Song. Qingde gritted her teeth and said it with a red face, not even using her body to seduce Jiang Fan. You can do whatever you want. Brother, don't kill me, Song. Qingde blushed and spoke very sincerely. This man killed 5 people as soon as he walked in. She had no intention of resisting such murderous thugs and just wanted to do her best to please them. It was the first time for Jiang Fan to see such a woman, but it was normal to think about it in front of life. The body is nothing, Jiang Fan said calmly. You just said there is food to eat. What are you eating here, Song? Qingde didn't hesitate at all and said it like she was pouring beans into a bamboo tube. There is a peach tree in the backyard. After the red fog came, the peach tree could grow a few peaches every day. We have survived on the peach tree until now, Taozi? Jiang Fan is curious. Take me to see it, eh? Moment later, Jiang Fan stood in front of a peach tree. The peach tree exuded a faint light, obviously mutated. Each peach is much larger than an ordinary peach, about the size of 2 adult fists. Jiang Fan frowned and asked, is this thing edible? After the red mist came, most of the plants mutated. The fruit trees that were originally edible have basically changed. Some mutated toxins, some are full of fiber and cannot be swallowed, some are so acidic that they can corrode teeth and mouth. So far, Jiang Fan only knows that shepherd's purse is still edible and has become smelly. Can this kind of peach be eaten? Jiang Fan jumped up slightly, picked off one and handed it to Song Qingde. Eat it, this man is too vigilant. Song Qingde thought to herself and ate it obediently. Jiang Fan looked at her expression of enjoyment, and it seemed that it was quite delicious. He carefully observed the light on her body. There was no change, which meant that it was not harmful to the body. Otherwise, no matter how much he endured, the brightness of her body would not be able to deceive him. However, Jiang Fan still won't eat it immediately. He must make sure that Song Qingde's ability has no resistance to toxins. Otherwise, if the peach is poisonous, but Song Qingde can resist the toxin, she will be capsized in the gutter if she eats it. Song Qingde whispered, I won't lie to you, it's really delicious, brother. Look here. She dug the ground with a wooden stick. We planted some peach seeds here, but the time was too short and they haven't sprouted yet. There are indeed many peach stones buried in the soil. Jiang Fan basically believed that if it was poisonous, they wouldn't grow peaches. Jiang Fan casually took out a plastic bag from his pocket and handed it to Song Qingde. Leave one in the soil and collect the rest, Song. Qingde was stunned for a moment, feeling dazzled. Where did this plastic bag come from? She didn't dare to ask any more questions and dug out all the peach stones. Jiang Fan took a plastic bag of peach seeds and put it back into his pocket. Song Qingde's expression froze. Why are the plastic bags gone again? By the way, this should be an ability. Oops, I saw. Song Qingde's heart began to beat wildly and her mind went blank. It's over. I saw something I shouldn't have seen. The other party must be planning to silence him. Brother, don't kill me, she said tremblingly. Jiang Fan glanced at her. This woman is really smart. He squatted on the ground and activated plant growth on the remaining peach core. A lot of physical strength surged out, and a few seconds later a bud sprouted from the ground, quickly grew into a small peach seedling. Jiang Fan stopped. He didn't have enough physical strength to ripen the entire peach tree at once. All it takes is proof that peach pits can breed everyone, and Song Qingde was dumbfounded. Another ability. Jiang Fan took out a heavy sword of will, inserted it deeply into the ground, and drew a 1-meter circle along the trunk of the peach tree. Then he hugged the peach tree tightly and exerted force. Blood bursts out. 500%. Boom. A peach tree several meters high was forcibly pulled out. Gulu. Song Qingde swallowed hard. Another ability. Her whole body was numb. Jiang Fan took the peach tree into his personal space and prepared to find a safe place to plant it. Jiang Fan pointed to the tunnel left by the peach tree. You have 2 choices. Follow me, or be buried in this pit, Song. Qingde felt like she was being pardoned and said in surprise, I'll go with you. Jiang Fan laughed. I like smart women. Come on, let me inspect the goods first. Now. Song Qingde was at a loss. If you are listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means it was downloaded and re-uploaded without effort. We warmly invite you to visit our channel, Fanfic World. There you will find the original version of this story and many other novels of various genres. We look forward to seeing you dive into a world of incredible novels. Chapter 143 Earth and Stone Transformation. Off-road in an RV. Jiang Fan put on his clothes again and looked at the system prompts with satisfaction. Ling. 1 day ago, Song King Day consumed 2 mutated peaches and returned 3,000 peaches. They have been put into the portable space. Ling. 2 days ago, Song King Day consumed 2 mutated peaches and returned 3,000 peaches. They have been put into the portable space. Ling. 3 days ago, Song King Day consumed 2 mutated peaches and returned 3,000 peaches. They have been put into the portable space. Ling. 20 days ago, Song King Day consumed an enlightenment fruit, earth and stone transformation, and 1,500 pieces were returned. It has been put into the portable space. Enlightenment fruit, earth and stone transformation. 1 star. After eating it, you can gain the ability to transform earth and stone. Eating the same fruit repeatedly has a chance of improving the star rating. Jiang Fan was speechless ever since the red mist descended. Song King Day and her group had been eating peaches after finishing their only food. I ate peaches every day for more than 20 days. It's really hard for this rich second generation. Song King Day's food records also prove that she was not lying and survived on mutated peaches. Mutated peaches are indeed not poisonous, but Jiang Fan glanced at Song King Day. Song King Day's eyes were red, and she covered her body with tattered clothes. When she saw Jiang Fan's eyes, she quickly tried her best to smile at Jiang Fan. This woman eats peaches every day and has no signs of malnutrition. She looks very healthy and has not lost weight. It seems that this kind of peach can not only replenish water and sugar, but also replenish protein. Perfect food. Jiang Fan picked a peach from the space and ate it in a few bites. The taste is different from the previous peach. It feels like eating a crispy banana, but it's quite delicious. He carefully experienced the changes in the mutant peach's body. Mutated peaches do not have the feeling of energy flowing into the body like mutated frog meat. They are just ordinary food that can fill the stomach. Jiang Fan was a little disappointed. He had no shortage of food if he couldn't improve his physique. This peach would be useless to him. He took out another soil stone modified fruit and ate it. Earth and stone transformation. 2 stars. You can change the shape of the earth and stone at will and strengthen its solidity. The higher the will, the higher the degree of strengthening and the faster the transformation speed. Are the magnitude of strengthening and speed of transformation related to will? Jiang Fan was surprised. Is it a kind of willpower? Jiang Fan didn't test it immediately and would wait until he got back after confirming that Song King Day's superpower was not a big threat. Jiang Fan looked at Song King Day again, probably because she lost her virginity. Her body glowed more red and she hated herself even more, which was normal. However, she had a flattering smile on her face without showing it at all. It was obvious that she was a very scheming woman. Song King Day was shocked. Did he eat a supernatural fruit just now? Jiang Fan flipped his hand, and 3 superpower fruits appeared in his hand. He stared at her and said, "Follow me. There will be no shortage of supernatural fruits and food." Song King Day's beautiful eyes widened. Why do you have so many superpower fruits? After she and Yu Xian's who accidentally found 2 superpower fruits, they also searched around, but unfortunately they found nothing. After encountering danger once, the 2 of them gave up and stopped searching. Neither of their abilities are combat type, and they are not much stronger than ordinary people when facing danger. Later, survivors came to the club one after another, but none of them had special powers. The 2 of them were basically certain that the superpower fruit was a very precious material. Now Jiang Fan actually took out 3 pills, plus the 1 pill he just ate. There are already 4 pills. Jiang Fan smiled and said, "Is this too much?" He caught a lot of superpower fruits like a rich man throwing away money in peacetime. Song King Day's breathing stopped. Jiang Fan put 3 superpowers fruits in her hands. "Take these 3 pills first. My women have all eaten them." Song King Day heard Jiang Fan's subtext. He has many women. Scumbag. Song King Day thought to herself, not daring to show anything on her face, and couldn't wait to swallow the 3 superpower fruits soon. She said in surprise, "My strength seems to have become stronger." Jiang Fan explained the effects of the 3 powers. Song King Day couldn't help but be happy. After some experiments, her hostility towards Jiang Fan suddenly dropped. Strong men, whether in peacetime or now, are the targets of women's worship. Jiang Fan squinted his eyes and watched the changes in the color of the light on her body. Calmly the red light had completely disappeared, and half of the green light appeared, mixed with half of the yellow light. Jiang Fan's murderous intention subsided a lot. If she still harbors hidden hatred after being given the superpower fruit, Jiang Fan wouldn't mind killing her sister on the spot anyway. He killed more than once. Song King Day didn't know that she had walked away from the edge of the cliff. She just looked at herself with disgust. Why are there so many dirty things on my body? Jiang Fan smiled and said, it's normal. It's a side effect of strengthening the body and expelling internal organs. You go take a shower and we'll leave. Song. King Day was helpless. There's no water for bathing. I've already drank it all. Jiang Fan pointed his finger. A dozen large barrels of pure water appeared on the ground. Go. Wash it. Song. King Day was pleasantly surprised, and then said with pain, would it be too wasteful to take a bath with purified water? Jiang Fan said calmly, the supplies I have stored are enough for 100 people to use for 100 years, so don't worry. After hearing this, Song King Day's attitude towards Jiang Fan changed again. If you follow this man, you may be able to find your father if dad dies. It would be a good choice to follow Jiang Fan all the time, right? Jiang Fan looked at the green light on her body with a smile. Half an hour later, Song King Day washed away the dirt on her body and put on a brand new sportswear. She felt much refreshed and in a good mood. Jiang Fan collected all the cars. Song King Day was secretly speechless. How much space does Jiang Fan have in his pocket? Jiang Fan asked. What tools are needed to repair a car? Song King Day immediately said, if possible, it would be best to take them all away. But without electricity, many tools are useless. I think these things are more important. No, let's take them all away. We'll talk about the electricity later. Jiang Fan put away all the tools in the modification workshop and put on his mask again. Come on, lie on my back. Ah. Are you still here? Song King Day was surprised. She couldn't figure out Jiang Fan's brain circuit, but she started to unbutton the collar with her hands. She doesn't dare to disobey Jiang Fan's wishes now. Jiang Fan said angrily, I mean I left behind your back. Why are you taking off your clothes? Ah. Song King Day blushed and quickly lay on Jiang Fan's back. Hold your hands tightly and clamp your legs tightly. Jiang Fan gave her a mask and asked her to put it on, then dragged her up with his hands, and then activated his ability Gravity Twist. Metal pieces in clothes and shoes exert an upward gravitational pull. Jiang Fan's body was as light as a piece of paper. He jumped up suddenly and jumped dozens of meters high. Chapter 144 Shelter. Sword Key. Ah. Song King Day screamed in fright. Jiang Fan slapped her butt hard with his backhand. Shut up, you're disturbing me. Song King Day quickly covered her mouth. The wind howled. Jiang Fan landed on the roof of a short building, then used his strength again and jumped dozens of meters high. This time it broke out of the red mist and landed on the top of a huge pine tree. Song King Day looked straight at the sun in the sky and said blankly, it turns out it's sunny now. She was trapped in the red mist for so long, and finally saw the sun again, and she was so excited that tears flowed out. At this time, a spider appeared out of nowhere and suddenly rushed towards Jiang Fan. Jiang Fan didn't even look at it. He took out his heavy sword and struck it with his backhand. The spider split into two on the spot. Only then did Song King Day see the spider, and she covered her mouth in horror. Hold tight. Jiang Fan looked indifferent, looked in the direction of the wealth center, and jumped back under the combined effect of gravitational distortion and strong physique. Jiang Fan is extremely fast. He can often jump hundreds of meters with all his strength. There are tall buildings everywhere in the Demon Sea, plus big trees peeking out of the red mist. Along the way, Jiang Fan almost never fell under the red mist. This method is much faster than underground operations, but it is a bit dangerous and easy to be targeted. However, with the assistance of 200 meters of perception, Jiang Fan can basically avoid the most dangerous mutated animals and plants. More than an hour later, Jiang Fan took Song King Day back to his home in the fortune center. He untied Song King Day and put her down. If you don't think about the danger, it's pretty cool to have a woman on your back and bounce around while jumping. When the girls saw Song King Day, they laughed and said, what are the names of the new sisters? Song King Day saw a group of beautiful, clean, and healthy women, and had a higher evaluation of Jiang Fan's abilities. What she saw was not a group of women, but Jiang Fan nakedly showing off his strength. In the dangerous apocalypse, Jiang Fan can protect a group of women so well. Jiang Fan's strength is definitely beyond ordinary people's imagination. The next day after Jiang Fan finished breakfast, he chatted casually with the girls. The women were each busy with their own affairs. They were a little nervous. They were about to go to a large unfamiliar settlement. They didn't know whether it was a blessing or a curse. They know their attraction to men, and if they are targeted, they will probably cause a lot of trouble. Jiang Fan also had a headache. He wasn't afraid of other people's prying eyes. It was mainly because it was too annoying. Just like in the Pearl of the Demon Sea, although he was confident that he could deal with the enemy, many people were staring at the Pearl of the Demon Sea, which made him very unhappy. In the dangerous apocalypse, with countless supernatural powers and aliens lurking in the dark, It is best to stay in a corner for safety, but the existence of the tentacle monster prevented him from staying too far away from the crowd in a large settlement, in case of danger. Other survivors are human shields and living alone in the wild. Then you are the only target. Song King Day huddled in the corner, listening to everyone chatting. After a night and a staggeringly rich breakfast, her mentality had fundamentally changed. Men like Jiang Fan will be the biggest blue chip stock in the last days, and if he wanted to hold Jiang Fan's thigh tightly, he had to show enough value as the daughter of a businessman. Song King Day has understood these truths since she was a child. She looked at the looks of the girls and knew that she had almost no advantages, and even some of the women had their own characteristics, especially the majestic mountain peak made Song King Day's heart flutter when she saw it, let alone the man. She thought for a while and suddenly said, "Brother Jiang, I know a place that may be very suitable for us." Jiang Fan said curiously, "Oh? Tell me, all." The girls looked at Song King Day. Song King Day saw the expressions of the women and felt secretly proud in her heart, but did not show it on her face. The 910 troops are stationed in Zhujiang village. About 5 kilometers west of Zhujiang village is the Dongshan Scenic Area. Outside the Dongshan Scenic Area, there is a pure villa community called Dongshan Holiday. There are top-notch luxury houses covering an area of more than 10 acres. Demon Sea City real estate tycoon Chen Changzi spent several $100 million to renovate a shelter underground in his villa. It is very large and can accommodate dozens of people. Jiang Fan suddenly became interested. "You sure, Song?" King Day immediately said, "Yes, my dad also has a villa in Dongshan Holiday Community. He and Chen Changzi are business friends. After Chen Changzi built the shelter, he invited my dad to visit it once, and I followed him in. The facilities inside are very good. It's perfect. It even has a generator, and the walls are all made of alloy, so it's very safe. If someone else is definitely not able to get in, don't we all have the ability to penetrate the wall? We can easily enter that shelter." Jiang Fan pondered. Zhujiang is 5 kilometers away, not too far or too close. Very suitable. I want to go to Zhujiang and Unit 910 to collect some information and supplies, and I can go there easily, but others have trouble trying to get to the shelter unless you are a person with some special ability. Walking 5 kilometers in the wild is extremely difficult. Moreover, Dongshan Holiday is still west of Unit 910. If tentacle monsters attack in large numbers, Unit 910 will be the first to bear the brunt. He also has enough time to react. Jiang Fan looked at Song King Day again. The light on her body was almost entirely green. It shows that this woman's mentality changed very quickly. "You should not lie to yourself." Jiang Fan then made up his mind and said, "Very good. Our first goal is the shelter. Song King Day, you did a good job." Song King Day was delighted and was very happy to receive Jiang Fan's praise. In fact, she had a selfish intention and wanted to see if her father was in that villa. If there, Jiang Fan suddenly said, "Do you want to see if your dad is there?" Song King Day was startled and said quickly, "Brother Jiang, I didn't lie to you. There really is a shelter there." Jiang Fan glanced at her meaningfully and said casually, "It's okay. It's better if your dad is here. I also want your family to reunite. If you want to find your relatives, you can give me the list and photos. This time, go to the 910 unit station and I will help you find them." The girls were overjoyed. "Thank you, Brother Jiang." "Brother Jiang, my sister may still be alive. This is her photo. I also have a cousin in the Demon Sea." Jiang Fan agreed to them all with a smile. It's good to have family. Having more family members makes it easier to control. After confirming the destination, Jiang Fan had nothing else to do but wait for the military to bomb. He flew to the top of the building and took out a steel bar, quenched the chain. After more than 10 seconds, the steel bars rotted like noodles. The essence of the steel bar is quenched into a quenched steel needle the size of an embroidery needle. Jiang Fan took out a heavy sword of will and integrated the tempered steel needle into it. He has continued this work since he drew out the heavy sword of will. What's the point of incorporating other materials? Jiang Fan carefully observed the ape. The heavy sword of will didn't seem to have changed much. It just became heavier and slightly easier to hold. Jiang Fan couldn't figure out whether it was due to psychological factors. After some research, he still couldn't figure it out. So he could only give up temporarily and wave his sword casually. Although the heavy sword of will has no edge, it is unimaginably sharp. Jiang Fan left deep marks on the ground without much exertion. On a whim, his energy exploded instantly, and his body rushed out like a ghost and stabbed out with a sword. An accident happened. Jiang Fan clearly felt that the energy rushed out from the sword. A deep hole was made in the far wall, and it penetrated the wall directly. This power is much greater than bullets. Jiang Fan was surprised. This is sword energy. Chapter 145 5 Stars Oil and Stone Transformation. Bombing of Mohe City. Jiang Fan had always thought that qi could only flow within the body. Now, he suddenly discovered that the ape of will can actually conduct qi, and can also turn qi into bullets and shoot them out. Is this the effect of the will weapon itself, or is it an additional effect obtained by incorporating quenched metal? Jiang Fan immediately took out a steel bar, quenched the steel needle again, and integrated it into the heavy sword. His heart moved, and qi shot out of the heavy sword again. Poof! Another deep hole was left in the wall, but Jiang Fan clearly felt that the qi was conducted more smoothly in the sword, and the loss of qi in the sword was also reduced. Jiang Fan thought to himself. It turns out that quenching metal can improve the conduction of qi. After some testing, Jiang Fan roughly figured out the approximate value of sword energy. The attack distance is about 15 meters. It is very powerful and can penetrate 20 centimeters of concrete, which is more powerful than a sniper rifle. It's just that it consumes a lot of energy. You can release your own energy about 20 times. Fortunately, breathing can now restore qi, and the breathing method can restore qi faster. Jiang Fan practiced his sword energy for an hour, then took out the earth and stone transformation fruit and ate it. After eating more than a dozen pills, it was indeed upgraded to 3 stars. Ling. Earth and stone transformation upgraded to 3 stars. Jiang Fan was overjoyed. It is indeed a willpower. Keep eating. Ling. Earth and stone transformation upgraded to 4 stars. Ling. Earth and stone transformation upgraded to 5 stars. At this point, Jiang Fan felt very nauseated after eating and could no longer eat. The transformation of earth and stone is probably not a purely willpower. Jiang Fan has a certain degree of adaptability, but he is not as adaptable as those with pure willpowers. Earth and stone transformation. 5 stars. You can change the shape of earth and stone at will and strengthen its solidity. The higher the will, the higher the degree of strengthening, and the faster the transformation speed. You can quickly transform the terrain. Rapidly changing terrain. Jiang Fan's heart moved. A sharp thorn suddenly protruded from a floor slab and directly pierced the solar water heater above. Jiang Fan felt weak and his energy was greatly consumed. He experimented again. It was ultimately determined that the faster the terrain changes and the stronger the ground, the greater the energy consumption. As long as the speed is slow enough and the ground is soft enough, the energy consumption will be extremely low. If he used this ability to level the land, he even felt that he could last 2 or 3 hours. Jiang Fan gained confidence in his future trip with this ability. The bad roads blasted by artillery fire can be quickly smoothed, and vehicles can pass through. The peaceful night passed. Fortunately, the tentacle monster did not kill near the wealth center. This made Jiang Fan breathe a sigh of relief amid the uneasiness of the girls. It was time for the bombing. At 7:50 in the morning, Jiang Fan stood on the balcony with all the women. Looking into the distance in the other 2 buildings of the Fortune Center, many survivors also walked to the balconies and looked into the distance. Everyone saw Jiang Fan standing with a group of women from a distance, and they felt extremely envious and jealous at the same time. Countless people in Mohe City were looking forward to it, with expectations and confusion in their hearts. This bombing will determine the fate of countless people. Many people still haven't decided whether to leave or stay. Tian huddled behind Jiang Fan and said fearfully, "Brother Jiang, the army won't blow up, right?" Jiang Fan patted her little head. "Don't worry, the nearest escape route here is more than 500 meters away. With the accuracy of modern artillery, it is impossible to deflect it so far. Unless the military deliberately misses the target." Su Jin said worriedly, "Will this bombing cause accidental damage? Some survivors may not receive the message. If they stay in the escape tunnel, they will definitely be killed, right?" Jiang Fan said calmly, "Accidental injury is inevitable. In peacetime, if the army accidentally injures civilians, it is definitely a serious accident, and it will cost a few officials. Unfortunately, this is not a peaceful era. In today's world, who cares about ordinary people, life or death? If you die, you will die." The girls were silent. Yes, in peacetime, which officer would dare to be crazy enough to bomb Mohe City? What to do if you blow up someone? What to do if a fire occurs? Things are different now. Who still cares about little things, like human life? The cruel side of the apocalypse affects women's minds when the military doesn't care about the life and death of ordinary people. What else can it rely on? 8 o'clock sharp. The sky was quiet. The girls looked at the time repeatedly. Has the bombing been cancelled? Tens of seconds later, dense and sharp shells suddenly sounded. Countless fireballs seemed to fall in the sky. Call out, call out, call out. The shells fell into the red mist. Immediately afterwards, a huge roar came from the red mist. Boom, boom, boom. The red mist in the distance trembled violently. The firelight soaring into the sky illuminated the red mist. The shells came one after another, seemingly never stopping. Boom, boom. Buildings collapsed, trees fell, wild animals fled, and humans screamed. Mohe City, which had been silent for a long time, seemed to suddenly boil after being frightened. The mutated birds flew up like dark clouds, covering a large area of the sky and letting out shrill howls. Jiang Fan and the girls watched the magnificent scene. No creature can match the cannonball. The sound of the cannon is like the roar of human civilization, proving to the earth in the red mist. Who is the master of the world? Tang Zirao said angrily. It turns out that artillery shells are so powerful. So why didn't they bomb before, causing so many of us to die? What? A brainless woman. Jiang Fan said with disgust. Although modern weapons are powerful, they also put great pressure on logistics. The red mist and evolved plants have cut off traffic, and the army's logistics has actually collapsed. How can we replenish new artillery shells after they have been blasted? Tang Zirao was speechless. Su Mengqian glanced at Tang Zirao proudly. Fool. The army really bombed? The army is crazy. They actually dare to bomb Mohe City. The commander must go to court-martial. Stop talking about these useless things. Can we leave? We must leave. Once everyone leaves, there will be too few survivors left. We simply cannot survive. I won't leave. Who knows what those soldiers are thinking? Maybe they will arrest us and treat us like two-legged sheep. I'm planning to leave. I don't want to eat shit-flavored shepherd's purse anymore. At least the army has food to eat, right? Who knows? Maybe they can drag us to work as coolies. The chances of surviving in the army are better here. Amid the anxiety of countless people, the bombing lasted for 24 hours. The mutant animals throughout Mohe City were trembling and fleeing in all directions. Many survivors can barely sleep. 24 hours later, the bombing stopped on time. An accident occurred. Fires are burning everywhere in Mohe City. The survivors will not be able to get close to the escape route for a short time. The 910 unit station has become a mess. Zhu Ji was also at a loss for this. Only then did he realize that there was no plan at all. What to do if there was a large-scale fire? How to solve it now? There is no way. Zhu Ji could only be helpless and furious. If he fails to command a major operation for the first time, his reputation will suffer a huge impact. Fortunately, a sudden rainstorm saved Zhu Ji's plan. It rained heavily for a whole day. All the flames in Mohe City were basically extinguished. The escape plan that was postponed for a day was implemented again. Chapter 146. A convoy among the fleeing people. The fire is out. Jiang Fan and his party came to the ground. 12 women Yingyangai, and they wore field uniforms, thick hiking boots, and each had a short-range radio, a pistol and a dagger, plus at least 3 superpowers. They were armed to the teeth. Li Qingquan, who has no superpowers, is the weakest, sitting on Husky Bay, and Li Qingquan rolled his eyes with a very frightened expression, fearing that this stupid dog would accidentally bite him to death. Suzai Omi is holding the white fox. Zuir Tian is carrying a cat bag with black cat coke inside. Jiang Fan glanced at the girls in a good mood and raised his lips slightly. Let's go. Keep up so you don't get left behind. Yes, brother Jiang. The girls responded delicately. Jiang Fan knew the direction and took the lead. Some survivors who went downstairs to the 910 station stared straight-eyed after seeing the girls. They were all emaciated from hunger, but these women were healthy, beautiful and clean. They still smell of shampoo and perfume, obviously living a very good life. This makes men jealous and women jealous, but no one dared to take action. He didn't even dare to show his hostility. There are no fools among the survivors who can survive to this day. This group of women can live so well. Just think about it and know how powerful their protectors are. These survivors are very smart and silently follow the female team to gain a little sense of security. However, the red light of hostility of these survivors was clearly seen by Jiang Fan and others. Jiang Fan didn't care. With his current strength, it is difficult for ordinary survivors to hurt themselves anymore. Jiang Fan even allowed these hostile survivors to follow him once in danger. These people are the best human shields. However, the physical gap between the two sides is too big. Even if Jiang Fan doesn't chase people away, the survivors who have been hungry for a long time will not be able to catch up with Jiang Fan. Jiang Fan walked through thorns and thorns all the way, walking several hundred meters in the dense forest with the girls, and suddenly his eyes open up. The forest suddenly disappeared. There are big trees that have been blown down everywhere, and some trees have been scorched. The ground was covered with large pits. It had rained heavily all day, and the pits were full of dirty water. The turbid and dirty water is very scary. Who knows if there are mutant animals lurking in this water? Jiang Fan felt his teeth hurt from seeing this. Let the weak survivors trek dozens of kilometers on this road, And 5 out of 10 will be considered lucky. Luckily, we don't have to walk. Jiang Fan used his senses to scan the surroundings. Probably because it was still early, the nearest survivors were also 100 meters away, and they were all ordinary people. Jiang Fan immediately took out a tank, 2 off-road RVs, and a Hummer from his pocket. The girls immediately got busy, and according to the plan, they used multiple strands of steel wire to connect the 3 cars together. The tank is at the front, the Humvee is at the back, and the 2 RVs are in the middle. Song Qingdai and Tang Zhurao opened the way in the tank. Li Qingquan sat in the last Hummer with a blank look. Jiang Fan took the remaining women into the 2 RVs in the middle. Li Qinggayu pressed her hand on the wall of the RV and activated the gravitational distortion under the conduction of steel wire. The weight of the 4 cars is reduced by 3/4. Li Qinggayu felt it and said, I can hold on for about an hour, and I have to rest for 20 minutes. Jiang Fan nodded, no problem. Don't be too fast. It's safest if we mix with other survivors, he told Song Qingdai and other 4-car drivers through the will link. Let's go. Okay. Song Qingdai rubbed her hands in excitement and stepped on the accelerator. Racing tanks in Mohe City was such a crazy idea that she had never thought of in peaceful times. It's so exciting. As for whether it will open, it doesn't matter. Anyway, there are no traffic police these days, as long as you don't hit the building. The tank engine roared along with a violent roar. The powerful power drove the behemoth of more than 10 tons to crush all obstacles. The 3 cars behind also started and moved forward under the influence of gravitational distortion. The 4 vehicles were invincible on the road, full of bumps and obstacles. Jiang Fan silently used his senses to monitor his surroundings. At the same time, he will observe the road ahead. If he encounters a pit that is too deep or a slope that is too high, he will use earth and rocks to pave the road to allow the convoy to pass. The convoy moved forward. There are more and more survivors on the road. Among the crowd, Liu Jinfeng was holding a wooden stick and carrying the only food on his back, struggling to walk on the bumpy road. Suddenly, the roar of an engine came from the red mist behind. What happened? Is there still a car that can be driven? Liu Jinfeng followed everyone and looked behind in shock. The roar of the engine became more and more intense, and a loudspeaker broadcast, "People in front, get out of the way. People in front, get out of the way. People in front, everyone quickly got out of the way." Liu Jinfeng followed everyone to the roadside. Soon, a ferocious metal monster appeared in the red mist. FK. Tank. It's actually a tank. Could it be someone from the military? Great, the military is here to protect us. The tank moved forward slowly. 2 off-road RVs and a modified Hummer followed. Everyone stared at this exaggerated motorcade in stunned silence. The convoy slowly passed the crowd and disappeared into the red mist. Some people are only envious, some people are indignant. FK. Why do they have the protection of soldiers and rides in cars? Must be a rich man. Rich people are nothing now. I guess they are nothing more than officials. Made. SHH. Keep your voice down. I am the powerful superpower. FK. It's very possible. Liu Jinfeng was stunned for a while, then he chased after him with his eyes rolled, waving his hands and shouting, Wait! Wait! Take me for a ride. My foot is sprained. The girls looked out the window curiously. In the vast dense forest of red mist, there is a devastated road. Countless survivors trudged on bad roads. They haven't seen so many people in a long time. There are actually so many survivors. How did they all survive? Jiang Fan also silently observed the situation outside. This was a rare opportunity to analyze the current situation of the survivors. There is a huge disparity between men and women, about 10:1. The proportion of people with superpowers is very high, estimated at 1%. In just over half an hour, thousands of survivors were encountered. The number of survivors seems to be higher than expected at this time. Li Qinggai was sweating profusely and said, Brother Jiang, I need to take a rest. Okay. Jiang Fan informed the 4 drivers in the will link, stop moving forward and rest for 30 minutes. Okay, Brother Jiang. Okay, Mr. Jiang. Chapter 147. If you don't have morality, you won't be kidnapped by morality. In addition to Li Qinggai's exhaustion, Jiang Fan also noticed that there was a traffic jam ahead, so he stopped the convoy. Yes, traffic jam. There was a traffic jam more than 10 meters away. A very clever man somehow managed to get an SUV into this bad road. This SUV was just an ordinary city SUV. Not to mention modified, even the tires were ordinary tires, so it quickly got stuck in the mud and couldn't move. Da Chongming tried hard for a long time, but couldn't drive out, so he could only get angry outside the car in frustration. A group of people who originally wanted to get out of the car laughed at the smart car and turned around to leave. Jiang Fan opened the car door and jumped out of the car. Su Menqian, who was braver, followed Jiang Fan out of the car. The other women were hiding in the car to avoid causing trouble to Jiang Fan. Jiang Fan glanced at Su Menqian lightly. Su Menqian quickly smiled and said, "If something happens, I can help you. Keep an eye on the others." Jiang Fan was non-committal about this. He never restricts women's activities, just like Bian sometimes opens a portal to go out for a walk. Jiang Fan never cares when women see the dire straits outside. They will cherish the beautiful life here even more if women encounter danger when they go out, such as being killed or caught. That is a risk they are willing to take. After all, this is the end of the world, and even Jiang Fan himself cannot guarantee whether he will be able to come back every day. Not to mention these women. Jiang Fan regarded these women as collectibles and tools for buying supplies, and did not invest too much emotion in them. If a woman is killed, he will not be too sad, but will take revenge on the murderer 100-fold anyway. No matter who dares to touch Jiang Fan's toy, he will have to pay the price with his life. Jiang Fan said calmly, "Be careful." Su Menqian said obediently, "I know, I've been following you." She has seen that all the survivors within the range of perception are like a naked red light to her. Looking at the strange light in those men's eyes, she already regretted it a little. Everyone stared at Jiang Fan. A man and a woman, both men and women, were mad with jealousy. "We can't even eat, and their clothes are spotless. That woman is so beautiful. She is so cheap to that brat. FK. Why, I eat shit-flavored shepherd's purse every day, and this kid is still fair and white." Jiang Fan also noticed the hostility of the survivors around him, but it doesn't matter. There are ordinary people within a few dozen meters. There is no threat to him. Anyone who dares to make an attack will be killed directly. Jiang Fan took Su Menqian to the side of the SUV and asked calmly, "When can you take the car away?" Everyone nearby looked at him. The car owner didn't even turn his head and said angrily, "I want to drive away too. I have to be able to drive too." After the car owner finished cursing, he turned around and saw Su Menqian, who said with a smile, "Beauty, get in the car, my brother will take you." Snapped. Before he finished speaking, Jiang Fan grabbed his head, pushed it down hard, and raised his knees at the same time. Click. The man's entire face was sunken, and he couldn't die anymore. Jiang Fan let go of his hand and the body fell to the ground with a thud. Everyone around was shocked. FK. So fierce. He is a superpower. Jiang Fan reached out and grabbed the roof of the SUV and exerted force. Gravity twist. Blood bursts out. The 2-ton SUV was thrown away like a basketball and fell far into the dense forest. A terrifying scene caused the breathing of everyone around to stop for an instant. This is still a human being. Both men and women stared blankly at Jiang Fan. Envy, admiration, adoration, shock are just some of them. Su Menqian proudly held Jiang Fan's arm and raised her swan-like neck high. "This man is mine." At this time, Jiang Fan suddenly turned his head and looked at the red mist behind him. A group of people actually surrounded the convoy. There was also an old woman who was holding the door of the RV, trying hard to get in. She seemed to be quarreling with a woman in the car. Jiang Fan frowned, looked over, and heard the old woman's voice. "You are wearing military uniforms and driving tanks. You must be the army. Why do you only think of these as officials? Who?" Lily was helpless and chatted with several women. "That's not true. We are a private car. Auntie, get down here. This is not a military vehicle." Liu Jinfang grabbed the door with force and shouted loudly with foaming at the mouth, "No. You must be a military vehicle. Why do soldiers only save rich people and not ordinary people like us? My ankle is so sprained that I can't walk, so I have to take a car. It's inhumane. Soldiers are bullying people. Why do these powerful people sit on our heads? What's wrong with having one more person in such a big car? Why are these young people so cruel? Don't you understand respecting the old and loving the young? Who?" Lily looked helplessly at the old woman's mischief and her bouncing legs, not even a hint of sprain. At some point, a group of survivors gathered around, staring greedily at the women in the RV. So many beautiful women. They are worried about the patrons behind these women, but seeing that the old woman had been making trouble for so long and the protector hadn't come forward yet, they all had some thoughts. "If the old woman can get on the bus, we can too, right? As long as you can sit in the car, there is no chance." Tang Zuorao and Li Qingyu also poked their heads out of the tank. Li Qingqun behind him hesitated whether to go down to see the situation, but looking at the incomprehensible white eyes, he didn't dare to move. More beautiful women appeared, making the surrounding survivors commotion. Once a certain suppressed desire appears, it can no longer be controlled. The bold and thoughtful survivors quietly moved forward. Those who are timid will slip away. At this moment, Jiang Fan took Su Menqian back to the RV. Su Menqian, you get in the car first. Liu Jinfeng held the door open and shouted, is there a first come, first served basis? Didn't you see that I came first? Jiang Fan hasn't spoken yet. Su Menqian quickly said, Auntie, this is our own car. You, with so many people here, she didn't dare to cause trouble for Jiang Fan. Liu Jinfeng became more and more excited. His face turned red with excitement, and he started to babble, it's your own car. Does the tank also belong to you? Who are you kidding? Even if it's your car, what's wrong with it? If you encounter an older person in a dangerous period, you shouldn't save it. Poof. Liu Jinfeng looked down at his chest, and a knife stabbed out of his chest. What's going on? Liu Jinfeng collapsed to the ground softly, and became silent. After a few seconds, Jiang Fan calmly walked over her body and stood in front of everyone around him. Are you going to commit suicide, or should I do it? Chapter 148. No influence, only fists. The girls were dumbfounded. What does it have to do with them? The onlookers were also dumbfounded. No, brother, we didn't do anything. Jiang Fan sneered. That old woman was having sex with her own woman, and these people were watching, all of them with evil intentions. Do you really think you couldn't tell? Moreover, the red light on this group of people is so red that it turns black. Jiang Fan knew very well that driving a tank in an RV with a group of beauties was too much for people to hate just now. If you show any signs of cowardice, a group of people will attack you. Although Jiang Fan is not afraid, it is still very troublesome. Therefore, he will never give them any room for fantasy, and must nip such signs in their infancy. Jiang Fan said calmly, since you are unwilling to take action, then let me do it. The crowd suddenly became commotion. None of the survivors who could survive until now were easy to offend, and they suddenly became furious. None of our business. You are carrying a sword. Who are you trying to scare? A tall man raised his arms and shouted, brothers, come together and kill this guy. The car and the woman belong to us. When everyone heard this, their eyes suddenly changed. Yes, if he can fight again, can he hit so many of us? So scared, everyone silently drew out various weapons, with dangerous and greedy lights in their eyes. A group of beautiful women, safe tank, comfortable RV. Unfortunately, the red mist was too thick and these people did not see the terrifying scene of Jiang Fan throwing the SUV. Otherwise, he would never have the courage to raise a weapon against Jiang Fan. The scene suddenly became depressing. In the hazy red mist, countless people had their weapons drawn. When there are more people, they become more courageous, and they even take the initiative to surround us. Then, they saw Jiang Fan's hand flashing. And there was an extra submachine gun. Inexplicably, everyone's expressions changed drastically. FK, he has a gun, made. Don't talk about martial ethics, he's really a soldier. Fake gun. It must be a fake gun. The person in front wants to retreat. The people behind were still blocked by the red mist and could not clearly see the situation in front. The crowd was in chaos. Moreover, it is already too late. Jiang Fan shot without mercy. With Jiang Fan's shooting talent and such a close distance, these people had no chance of escaping. Help, run. Run, FK. Run, brother, spare your life. I don't dare anymore. A few seconds later, the body fell to the ground, and everyone around him died. The scene fell silent. Survivors nearby were startled by the sudden gunfire and hid in the nearby woods. No one dared to approach. Jiang Fan turned around and looked at the girls. The expressions of the girls were dull, looking at the corpses on the ground stupidly. Their whole bodies were cold. Jiang Fan's cruelty shocked the survivors and scared them to death. Jiang Fan asked coldly, others are bullying you, what are you waiting for? Why did I give you the gun? Why don't you use it as a decoration if you don't want to hit someone? Who? Lily was startled and said quickly, I'm worried about the negative impact. She had just negotiated directly with Liu Jinfeng. Jiang Fan said calmly, influence? What impact? You let her get in the car today to have a bad influence. After she gets in the car, she wants to eat again? Do you give it to her? Does she want to sleep in your bed? What if she wants to divide the power fruit? People are all just pushing the envelope. And if she comes up, what will happen to the other onlookers who want to get on the bus too? Are you going to let them all come up? Jiang Fan pressed him step by step, and the women's faces turned pale. Only then did they realize how dangerous it was. If you are really soft-hearted and let the old woman come up, others may really swarm you. That's what's really going wrong, Jiang Fan said sharply. Have you forgotten what era we are in now? The end of the world. This is the end of the world. It is the end of life and death. You all remember, from now on, whoever dares to threaten you, coerce you, or kidnap you morally will do it all shit to death. If something goes wrong, I'll come to support you. Put away your overflowing kindness. It will only kill everyone. You have let me down today, and I hope it won't happen again. Everyone's dinner is gone. You should all be hungry. Only when you wake up can you understand what the world is like now. Who Lily, come here and kneel down. Who? Lily cried softly. All the girls looked pale. Li Qingquan did not dare to speak. He thought over and over what Jiang Fan said. He had to admit that Jiang Fan, a young man, had a much better understanding of today's world than he did. Jiang Fan threw the gun into his pocket, turned around and got into the car. Drive. The girls hurriedly got into the car. Li Qingyu activated his ability again, and the convoy moved forward slowly, leaving only corpses on the ground, which shocked those who came after. Who Lily knelt down in front of Jiang Fan aggrievedly, tears streaming down her face. Jiang Fan said with disgust, "If you cry again, I'll throw you out of the car." Who? Lily held back her tears and did not dare to make a sound. Jiang Fan glanced at her, but the green light was still there, and then turned to look out the window at the slowly passing scenery. He was indifferent to Hu Lily's thoughts. If you can figure it out, just pass this level. If you can't figure it out, just die anyway. He has already bought more supplies than he can finish in a lifetime, and he doesn't care too much about the life or death of a certain woman. Before, it was one thing that they had no strength. Now that you have the strength to resist but don't dare to use it, that's one thing. He doesn't want a bunch of sheep women holding him back. To put it bluntly, even if there are only 1% of women left, there are still many beauties with Jiang Fan's materials and strength. There are many beautiful women who are willing to be offered to him with both hands in the bumpy car. Hu Lily knelt for 2 hours. Both knees were bruised and painful. Only then did Jiang Fan let her get up. Gu Lianying, give her some treatment. Gu Lianying and Su Menqian quickly helped Hu Lily up and sent her to the back for treatment and rest. Hu Lily was lying on the bed, feeling that her legs were almost no longer hers, and she cried in pain. Gu Lianying put his hand on her knee. Green light emerged, and Hu Lily quickly felt the pain in her knee disappear. Hu Lily thought of being punished to kneel in front of the girls just now, feeling ashamed and a little aggrieved, and she kept sobbing in a low voice. Su Menqian advised, "Lily, don't blame Brother Jiang. Brother Jiang is doing it for our own good. This is the end of cannibalism, and it is no longer a friendly and peaceful era. We women must not be soft. If we are soft, we will be bullied. I know that Brother Jiang did the right thing. It was too dangerous just now, and I didn't realize it." Hu Lily said in a low voice, "I also remember it, and I will never do this again in the future." Su Menqian had seen the woman in the cage with her own eyes, and most supported Jiang Fan's use of brutal methods to deal with the enemy. She was also a little lucky in her heart that she was also very soft towards the old woman, but fortunately Brother Jiang didn't notice. Su Menqian was actually secretly happy. Now there are 4 women who have been punished by Brother Jiang. I am not the worst one. At this moment, Jiang Fan's voice sounded, "Su Menqian, it's your turn to kneel down. What you just said to that woman made me very disappointed." Su Menqian's face turned pale, and she knelt down in front of Jiang Fan miserably under the sympathetic eyes of the girls. "Brother Jiang, I was wrong." Chapter 149. The Road to Killing. Arriving at the first supply point, a male survivor walked around in a daze. One foot was deep and the other was shallow, making it extremely difficult for him to walk. He has a fever. An hour ago, he was bitten by a mutant leech in the puddle, and now his entire calf is black. No one can save him unless he goes to the 910 station and asks a military doctor to treat him. Otherwise, in the end, the man couldn't hold on and fell to the ground with a thud. His eyes were dull and he stared at the red sky, and his chapped mouth opened with difficulty. The end of the dog days. After a few minutes, he disappeared. Boom. The tracks of a tank rolled over the body. Then 2 more RVs and a Hummer passed by. The man's body was splattered with mud and water. Jiang Fan lowered his head and glanced at the corpse on the ground, then turned his eyes. Likely none of the passing survivors cared about the bodies. Many people died along the way. They just looked at the tank and the convoy behind with envy, wishing they could sit on it. Tired legs, hungry stomachs, and weak bodies make many people teetering on the edge. At least half of us are destined to fall on this path. The survivors were all sallow and thin, with strands of hair sticking to their scalps because they had not taken a shower for a long time. Their eyes were numb and desperate, and the backpacks behind them were empty, containing only their food. In less than a month, the proud, refined and wealthy people of Mohe City turned into a group of miserable refugees in the RV. The woman leaned her head and looked out the window. The tragic scene outside the car made the women extremely happy. Without Jiang Fan's protection, their fate would be worse than those of these survivors, but after watching too much, they became numb. Their moods calmed down, and they also recognized the reality among the countless survivors on this road. Who else can ride a bus, eat well, wear clean clothes, and sleep safely, besides Jiang Fan? Who else can provide this kind of environment? They had no doubt that as long as Jiang Fan waved his hand, countless women would rush towards him crying and shouting. A huge sense of crisis arose in the women's hearts. If he doesn't perform well in front of Jiang Fan and keep his position, it's hard to say whether Jiang Fan will abandon him. After a while, it started raining heavily again. There is no shelter from the rain on the road. The survivors were helpless or risk a cold or fever and continue walking in the rain, or take the risk of being attacked by animals and enter the dense forest to find a house to take temporary shelter from the rain. Moreover, the military has said that they can only guarantee this survival channel for 7 days. Walking on this bad road is already very slow. If the heavy rain continues and wastes time, it will be difficult for them to reach the 910 unit station as scheduled. To make matters worse, many survivors brought insufficient food to survive 7 days. In addition, traveling long distances consumes a lot of energy, and food is consumed faster. Robbery, theft, and murder happen from time to time. There were almost countless fights. Jiang Fan saw at least 3 murders and robberies along the way. The situation developed extremely quickly. Some survivors seemed to have discovered business opportunities. They formed a robbery gang with 1-2 superpowers as the core, blocking roads and setting up roadblocks, and collecting tolls from every passerby. Other survivors were also forced to join forces and form a large group to encourage each other, and then collectively charge cards. The road of escape has turned into a road of killing. As for Jiang Fan's convoy, no one dared to mess with it, and no one dared to block a tank to collect tolls. A group of smart survivors discovered the opportunity, gritted their teeth, and quickly followed the convoy, passing many levels with great prestige. As the convoy passed a corner, a group of people rushed over, chasing another group of people. Kill him! Kill him, maid! Don't let that little BCH get away! Help! Run! FK! They ran into the red mist and couldn't find it. FK! She stabbed me! I'm going to kill her. When the people fleeing for their lives saw the tank, they thought they had encountered an army. They stepped forward with joy and waved, "Help! Help!" They want to rob. When the pursuers saw that it was an army, they were so frightened that they ran away and quickly disappeared into the red mist. Only a group of ordinary survivors were left, begging the soldiers to bring them justice. Song Qingdai was a little at a loss. Jiang Fan's spiritual link sounded at the right time. We are not an army. It has nothing to do with us. Keep moving forward. Good. The tank did not stop and drove past slowly. The 3 cars behind also drove past. The hunted survivors were angry and disappointed. The army actually doesn't maintain order. Immediately afterwards, they discovered that a large group of survivors were following behind the convoy. They also reacted and hurriedly blended into the crowd. Tanks crushed the barricades blocking the road. The robbery gang who set up the blockade was stunned and did not dare to stop them at all. They could only let the tanks drive by in a majestic manner. The convoy and survivors behind also passed smoothly. After Su Mengqian finished kneeling, she approached Jiang Fan and said proactively, "Brother Jiang, there are a lot of people following us. Do you want me to disperse them?" Jiang Fan randomly ate a few superpower fruits. "No, let them follow." What a good human shield. It's useless if you don't use it. The girls were stunned for a moment, then thought about it, and it was right. If they encountered danger, these survivors could help them delay some time. It is better for others to die than for yourself to die at this time. Jiang Fan saw some changes ahead. Is this a supply point set up by the military? Dozens of soldiers built several simple tents and surrounded them with barbed wire, creating a 100-meter safety zone. Groups of survivors are queuing up to enter, and the safe zone is already overcrowded. The tank slowly drove outside the supply point. The survivors looked on in shock. No one dared to provoke it. Jiang Fan looked at the crowded crowd at the supply point and said, "Song Qingdai, take the convoy to the side. We won't go in." Song Qingdai said, "Okay." Soon, the convoy drove to an open space next to the safety zone. 1 tank and 3 vehicles are surrounded together, with a square open space in the middle, which can be considered to have a certain degree of safety. Jiang Fan looked around and saw that there was no building suitable for overnighting within 200 meters, so he simply ordered, "Let's rest here for the night today." The girls immediately became lively. "Yeah, finally. I can rest." They all got out of the car to stretch their hands and feet. After sitting in the bumpy car for so long, Their bodies were stiffly. King Kun also got out of the car and studied a wildflower next to him with great interest. Bayan jumped out of the car, and the first thing he did was to run to a big tree to urinate and occupy the territory, and then jumped onto the hood of the Hummer in a majestic manner. Jiang Fan looked at the map on his phone. We walked about 15 kilometers today before we encountered the first supply point. This was completely different from the 5-kilometer supply point advertised by the army at the time. In addition, this road does not point directly to the direction of Unit 910, but goes around a bit to the south. At this rate, it is estimated that we will not be able to reach Xiujikan until the night after tomorrow. Jiang Fan called Song King Day and explained the next day's itinerary to her. Tang Zurao and several women set up a tent in the open space in the middle of the motorcade and put up lights. Su Menqian began to prepare food. It was inconvenient on the road and the RV couldn't use her hands and feet. Today's meal was very simple: bread, sausage, fried eggs, some vegetables, milk and mutated frog barbecue that I eat every day. These meals are so simple and quick to prepare. Jiang Fan started eating. The girls could only watch helplessly. They were punished with starvation. The aroma of the food spread. The hungry survivors around them were blocked by the red mist and could not see where the aroma was coming from. They thought it was coming from the military camp. They pushed forward like crazy. The smell of fried eggs. I smell the smell of fried eggs. The army must have started distributing relief food. I want to eat too. I want to eat too. The scene began to become chaotic. It was not until the soldiers shot and killed the two who made the most noise that the atmosphere stabilized, but the riots remained uncontrollable when the survivors finally squeezed into the safe area and found that each person was only given 3 compressed biscuits. They felt huge disappointment. The message quickly became, "Soldiers, eat well themselves, give us compressed biscuits," but they didn't dare to really do anything. The deterrent of dozens of guns was still very strong. However, there was already a faint anger among the people towards the army. This convoy of steel behemoths also alarmed the soldiers stationed there. After a while, an officer hurried over with 2 soldiers. Chapter 150. Frank Zhang Dongcheng. Zhang Dongcheng looked at several steel behemoths in shock. FK, the 2 soldiers beside him were also dumbfounded. Short and skinny soldier, company commander, how did they get these big guys onto the road? Zhang Dongcheng said depressedly. You ask me, who the hell am I going to ask? Another soldier with dark skin said confusedly. Forget about modified cars, there's actually a tank. Where did they get it? At this time, the aroma of fried eggs came. Zhang Dongcheng couldn't help it and swallowed. It turns out they fried eggs here. Mater, no wonder those survivors are like crazy, the short and thin soldier said with envy. Otherwise, let's rob them, snapped Zhang Dongcheng. Waved his hand and slapped the short and thin soldier on the back of the head, saying angrily, you want to die? Stay away from me, don't get me in trouble. You're so stupid. The person who can still drive 4 cars around and eat fried eggs at this time can be an ordinary person? He must be an ordinary person. He is a powerful superpower. You have lived enough, but I have not lived enough. Before the end of the world, those who drove sports cars to show off their power on the streets were not necessarily rich, but might have been rented by poor boys to show off. That's different now. Those who can eat fried eggs are definitely not ordinary people. The dark-skinned soldier shrank his head and whispered, no matter how powerful he is, we still have guns in our hands. It's nothing if you have a gun. This girl has a tank. Zhang Dongcheng almost laughed out loud. Use your pig brains. What is the prerequisite for frying eggs? Fresh eggs. Now eggs will spoil in 2 days at most, so where do you get fresh eggs? Either the other party has a powerful freezing ability, and the frozen eggs have been preserved until now. Their freezing ability can last for dozens of days. Or they raised a few chickens, which is even more terrifying. The other survivors can even themselves, even if they don't have enough to feed, they can still raise chickens. This is such a powerful strength, hissed the 2 soldiers. Gasped, company commander, your brain is better. Nonsense. Zhang Dongcheng proudly adjusted his holster. Otherwise, why should I be the company commander and you're just soldiers? Company commander, can we take a bite of fried eggs? I haven't eaten fried eggs in a long time. You have a beautiful idea. Even for such a strong person, eggs are precious materials. How can you give them to us? Come on, let's go pay a visit. Zhang Dongcheng led 2 soldiers into the open space of the convoy, and then they were stunned. A huge mutated husky was lying on the ground sleeping soundly. Why is there a mutated animal? When the husky heard the noise, he raised his head and glanced at the 3 of them with his white eyes. The 3 of them immediately froze in place. Not daring to move, Zhang Dongcheng felt a bucket of ice water being poured down from his head, and the chill was biting knotted muscles, cold eyes, and heavy breathing like bellows. To kill such a powerful mutated animal, the 910 unit had to send out 5 powerful psychics and 10 soldiers. Fortunately, the husky was lying on the ground again. Unable to move, Zhang Dongcheng and the other 3 breathed a sigh of relief. At this time, Jiang Fan walked out of the tent with a plate of fried eggs and slapped the dog on the head, shocking the 3 of them. I asked you to look after the house, and everyone else has come in, but you stupid dog is still sleeping. Zhang Dongcheng was scared to tears. Don't wake it up. However, a scene that stunned him appeared. The husky grunted in frustration and hid to the side with his tail between his legs. With a physique like a prehistoric beast, he acted like an angry little daughter-in-law. The 3 of them were dumbfounded. Jiang Fan looked at the 3 of them angrily. What do you want to do? He spoke. He took a bite of the fried egg poo. Jiang Fan poured a plate of fried eggs onto the ground and shouted dissatisfiedly into the car. Whoever fried the eggs didn't even melt the salt. What a waste. Zhang Dongcheng looked at the fried eggs on the ground and wanted to grab Jiang Fan's collar and roar, if you don't want to eat, give it to me. The 2 soldiers also swallowed hard. Dian ran out in a panic. Brother Jiang, I fried it. I'll fry it again right away. The 3 of them were extremely shocked. Even if this beauty is beautiful, the main thing is that she is ridiculously clean clothes, fluffy hair, and exquisite makeup. How could she look like she was fleeing from the apocalypse? It looks like a picnic tour. Only then did Dian see the 3 soldiers talking. He immediately pressed the pistol on his waist and looked at the 3 of them warily. Brother Jiang, what do they want to do? Jiang Fan said calmly, it's okay, you go back to the car first. Okay, Brother Jiang. Immediately afterwards, a group of women walked out of the tent and returned to the car one by one. The 3 people's eyes widened. A group of beauties, a group of clean beauties, a group of well-fed and clothed beauties. Zhang Dongcheng had a higher estimate of the strength of the man in front of him. Horrible. In this era, it is really terrifying that a group of women can be raised to this extent. So many beauties. How strong this man is. The 3 of them had all kinds of envy and jealousy in their hearts, but they didn't dare to show a trace of it on their faces. After Jiang Fan asked the girls to return to the car, he looked at Zhang Dongcheng again. Zhang Dongcheng quickly apologized and said with a smile, I am Zhang Dongcheng, the company commander of the 33rd Company of the 910 unit. I have been ordered to come to Mohe City to establish a supply point and help the survivors go to the 910 unit station. Excuse me, do you need anything? Jiang Fan raised the corners of his mouth slightly. This guy is pretty smart. Help? No need, but I have a few questions. Zhang Dongcheng looked flattering. Excuse me. I must tell you everything I can tell you. Jiang Fan smiled and said, what is your superpower? Zhang Dongcheng is a superpower, which is why Jiang Fan lets the women get on the bus. Zhang Dongcheng was surprised. How did he know I was a superpower? Or are you defrauding me? Zhang Dongcheng hesitated and said, sorry, it's a military secret. According to the regulations of Unit 910, I can't tell. Jiang Fan nodded slightly, not saying it is normal, not denying it is considered sincere. How many soldiers and civilians are there over there at 910? This, soldiers cannot say. There are about 1,000 civilians. How many psychics are there, both soldiers and civilians? This. Zhang Dongcheng was very embarrassed. Can you ask this kind of a question casually? Wait a moment. Jiang Fan smiled, turned around and went to the car, pretending to take something, but actually took out 2 cigarettes from the carry-on space and stuffed them into Zhang Dongcheng's hand. Commander Zhang, take it and smoke it. Cigarettes. Zhang Dongcheng's nose trembled rapidly, greedily inhaling the smell of cigarettes. Cigarettes, unlike liquor, go rancid quickly. Countless old smokers have been forced to quit smoking, not to mention how uncomfortable it is now. Cigarettes are gold in the eyes of smokers. Zhang Dongcheng is a smoker. Both soldiers were also smokers. The eyes of the 3 people were straightened. Jiang Fan asked again, how many superpowers are there in 910? The 3 of them looked at each other. Zhang Dongcheng made a difficult decision. My level is too low, so I don't know the specific number, but there are a total of 120 to 150 superpowers among soldiers and villagers in Zhujia village. This is basically certain. Jiang Fan laughed. Ha ha ha. I like honest friends. Su Menqian, fry 3 plates of eggs for the 3 of you. Su Menqian's voice came. Okay, Brother Jiang, omelette. The eyes of the 3 of them lit up and their mouths watered. Jiang Fan asked with a smile, who is the leader of the army? Who is the strongest superpower? End of this chapter. Thank you so much for reading until the end. Don't forget to give it a like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription or donation encourages us to continue. Thank you all. See you in the next video.